he can get maybe more of a clue.
Yeah.
About next time he goes on Howard's show about exactly what
the direction to take.
I think that's probably the answer that Howard wanted, though. I mean, if he would have just gone up there and said, "Oh, I don't care, gay guys, regular guys, straight guys, it all doesn't bother me," then Howard would have been aggravated with him. So I think all he did was give the answer that Howard probably wanted to hear, and now he's got to take grief for it.
Yeah.
It sounds like he might be uncomfortable showering in front of the guy or something.
Yeah, but
I think he said that even.
He did say that.
Yeah.
Showering in front of a gay guy?
Yeah. He said, I think, they're going to be in the shower with us and stuff, so, I don't think that's going to work. That's not going to work,
Is that what he said?
That's the quote.
Is that how he said it?
I just quoted him.
Is that Justin Timberlake or? Jesus God. Well,
I know a lot of guys that would be uncomfortable showering with a gay guy, though. I don't think that's it doesn't matter to me. I don't care,
Mm-hmm.
But I know guys that may be uncomfortable if you knew there was a guy next to you that was gay and you were naked with him and, rubbing each other down and.
Well,
why would you be rubbing each other
down? How did we suddenly get there?
Well, I mean, it's inevitable if there's a gay guy in the shower and you got Shockey, who's a good-looking man and a great body and a football player, that eventually there's going to be some type of caressing and rubbing and probing, wouldn't you say?
No.
No,
I wouldn't. I mean...
well, I think that's what he's nervous about, though, right?
I think he's got to calm down.
I don't know.
I don't think there's going to be any problem. The only issue here is he claims now, because he's gutless, that he was trying to be funny. He wasn't trying to be funny. Although you have a very good point. He was probably giving Howard the answer that he thought Howard wanted.
Exactly.
So.
By the way, that'd be the only scoring the Giants would be doing.
Yeah.
Be in the shower.
Have you ever showered with a gay guy before?
Yes, I have.
I don't have any idea.
I mean voluntarily, by the way. I don't mean by accident.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Me and the I-Man. Over the Sports Training Institute.
Ever wake up
I
sore
don't have any
hands off of me, I-Man.
Yeah.
What happened with that institute you're talking about? Once he walked out of there with leather pants?
Yeah.
No, that was a joke.
No, it wasn't.
How was that
it was.
a joke?
Well, it's not true, so whatever.
Vest and everything.
Now you're showering together in that place. That was a den of iniquity, that place.
Oh, whatever.
How many years ago was that?
A long time
The
ago.
I-Man lived in the village for a long time. He was single.
Sure.
Wears a cowboy hat. You draw your own conclusions.
I can say this. There was a time when the gays in the village where I lived for years were wearing cowboy boots
Oh, yeah.
and cowboy hats. Now, they weren't cool cowboy hats, but they were.
Yeah.
And there was a period there where I stopped wearing mine. I don't know what that means, but...
Some kind of homophobe?
Well,
Yeah.
I should... They still do it, and now maybe I've matured now, and it doesn't...
So you started the trend, is what you're saying, pretty much. You started this whole thing. For the homosexuals that walk around with cowboy hats and cowboy boots, it all started with Don Imus.
Well, no, I don't think I had anything to do with it.
No, I think you did. I think you started the whole thing.
The original village person, right there.
I think it started with, the village people, as a matter of fact. I don't know how it started, but... It's 17 till the hour here in the Imus Morning program.
I-M-U-S. I-M-U-S.
What's the deal with you are such a jerk.
Wearing chaps and nothing else, walking around, Avenue B.
Right.
Where are we with the baseball races, Sid?
Well, here we go. We're all done. The Yankees are going to take on the Angels in round one of the playoffs. The A's last night won the AL West, so they're going to take on the Minnesota Twins.
Has home field been decided?
Not yet. In fact, the Yankees may have to, there may be a makeup game somewhere down the road if it comes down to that. And right now, the Yankees and the A's are going head-to-head for this home field thing. Though they're 1-2 right now in the American League, so that has not been
somewhere
decided.
down the road. They'd have to do it on Monday. The playoffs start Tuesday, don't they?
Well, isn't Monday somewhere down the road?
Well, why not just say Monday?
Well, because
Which
I think...
is 3 days from now.
Well, because there's phrases in radio that work. Somewhere down the road seems to work. I can't tell you why, but it just seems to work. Don't you think?
No.
Oh. All right, then I won't use it again.
Okay.
Monday, there may be a playoff game to decide home field advantage.
Thank you.
better.
That's much better.
Much better, you're right.
Also gives us something to look forward to.
Sure.
But you want to talk about baseball stories? Here's a
Sure.
great story. This is the story of the day. You know this lady that got the picture of Grant Roberts smoking pot? Had that big bong hit picture in the paper a couple of weeks ago?
Right.
Turns out she's trying to extort money from Grant Roberts.
Duh.
Yeah. So her friend outed her. So she calls up the friend yesterday to say this. Quote, this is Jody Turner calling her friend Vanessa Schnell. You're going down, bitch, just like the effing Mets. This is what she called to tell her friend yesterday.
Huh?
She says, I'm the kind of person that gets my way, and you're going to be dead, bitch. You're going down. This is the girl that supposedly extorted money from Grant Roberts. With those quotes now, is there any doubt in your mind, that this girl's not guilty?
Well, I don't know. I think it was a cheap shot to run the picture, first of all.
It was a cheap shot, exactly. So she got the picture to the papers, and now she's calling up her girlfriend and using that type of verbiage. Almost, well, I mean, not almost, she threatened her.
Well,
She said she's going to be dead.
You gotta calm down.
Well, I just think it's a terrible thing. I think this girl should be put away forever. I think this girl should be arrested.
Sounds like a call that Christie would have made to Laurie a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Sounds like me talking to the Pakistanis over at the electronics store in Steinway the other day. You know?
Well, something's got to be done. That's Jody Turner.
Well, that's fine. I don't
You're okay with that? How can that be fine?
I don't know.
What do you think is worse, that phone call or Randy Moss running over a traffic guard in Minnesota?
He didn't run over her.
He ran her over.
Well, he's a jerk.
No, he's trying to make a left turn. She
Yeah,
should
man.
let him make the left turn.
Yeah, brother had someplace to go. Doesn't he be driving around the block like some schmuck?
Yo, I'm Randy Moss, yo.
Yeah.
He didn't run her over, but he knocked her down, didn't
He knocked her down.
Well,
Yeah, she was actually...
He didn't knock her down. She fell over. I mean, come on.
Oh, come on.
Well, she got hit by a car.
Well, it's outrageous. Of course, he should have just done what she told him to do.
Right, so he was wrong in this case.
Well,
Like-
yes.
Yeah, because I thought you were sticking up for him there for a
Well,
second.
no, but I'm trying to... I'm being tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
I got you, yeah. I'm not sure which is worse, though, what Jody Turner did or what he did. Football this weekend? You know what's coming up? The Jets? Jets this weekend and the Giants. Giants have the Arizona Cardinals. The Jets have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Fred guaranteed that the Rams are going to beat the Buccaneers on Monday night. And you and I said, no way, Fred, not going to happen. And you and I were correct in that case.
Oh, well, I mean, just... And the Rams are, speaking of them, are favored by 11.5 over the Cowboys.
Yeah, but they're going to win. They're going to cover that. I mean, they haven't won a game yet this year, so...
Packers by 7 over the Panthers. Eagles are favored to beat the Texans by 20 points. It's a college line.
Yeah.
Good God.
Well, Houston's terrible.
Raiders over the Titans.
Yeah.
They've done it. Patriots will play the Chargers. That could be a decent game.
Well, they're both undefeated, you know.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be a pretty good game.
Well,
For what?
I'm just telling you, they're both undefeated. That
Well,
could
that's
be a
fine. I just want
Well, I am agreeing with you. I think it could be a
Okay.
very good game.
I think any
the-
moron could figure that it's going to be a good game.
the
Yeah.
Dolphins and the Chiefs. That's what you're implying. I understand that.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah.
And I don't see much else. Monday night
Who's who?
will be the Broncos and the Ravens, and that, that could have been a good game a couple of years ago, but now, I mean, it's just the Ravens are dreadful.
Right, and what happened with the Broncos yesterday? The
I don't know.
quarterback, Brian Greasy, was walking in his house, I guess, with the lights off, and tripped over his dog and hurt his ankle. This is the same Brian Greasy, you may remember, that tripped on a driveway last year and
Drunk.
got hurt also. Drunk,
Yep.
exactly. So, this guy, Brian Greasy, I think he's got a big problem. I think it's time for him to admit it and stop these ridiculous stories about tripping over dogs and falling
Well, that
downstairs.
sounds like me. I
Boy,
remember
no,
all the
yeah.
excuses I used to have when I was
of
drinking.
course.
Yeah.
Every
over
single
the
one.
dog.
Tripped over the dog last night, hurt his ankle. Now he might not be able to play on Monday Night Football.
Slipped in the bathhouse. All those old excuses we went by.
You mean the boy maybe have a cocktail problem?
Listen, I'm not... Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty
Right.
much what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
coming out today and saying that that's what I think that Brian Greasy needs some help.
Yeah. Huh?
And you can call me and see if I can help him out. Because I know about people who are in need of help.
Yeah.
Let's see who I'd
Hey,
call.
that's where you
Sid,
go.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I got a great idea. I'll call a guy on Imus's show.
Right.
He can probably help me.
Why are you saying that?
I'll call
I
the
understand.
beady-eyed gambling degenerate.
Wait a
on
second.
the
Wait
Imus show.
He's
Come on
only
now.
in trouble 2 days a week.
12 minutes till the hour here, the Imus program.
Well, Fred, we don't have a lot of time here. Tell me, what do you like in tonight's game?
Oh, the absolutely St. Louis.
Oh,
St. Louis?
St. Louis.
Yeah.
What's the point spread? Do you know? Anybody know? Hey, Nance, what's the point spread tonight? 2.5, Nance. No, so it's not good. Do you know that? That's not good. Just instant. I mean, just knew instantly.
Oh, yeah.
that doesn't speak well for Nance.
Oh,
does it?
good night. 2.5, yeah.
So Tampa Bay's favored by 2.5? Well, the Rams are favored. So you're saying the Rams will win by at least 2.5, Fred?
Absolutely.
That's not. What was your record yesterday altogether with the points?
It wasn't very good, but
Well, you're 1-8, right?
I'm 1-8.
You'll be 1-9 as of tomorrow.
Thus, I guarantee St. Louis is going to win this game
Oh, my man. All right.
by 5.
All right, you got that, Lou? Just mark the tape.
Walking bird dog. Just a walking bird dog. If you don't know how to do it, show you how to walk bird dog. Come on now, come on. Imus in the morning.
Let's make it free and easy.
Important to win the first game against the A's. Well, how about game 5 against the Angels just to play the A's?
Well, you know, if you think that
Clemens is that much of a better pitcher than El Duque in the postseason, then you're right. But I don't think he is, and I don't think most of your callers think he is either.
I agree with that. I mean, I don't disagree. Teddy in New Jersey. Ted, what's going on?
Hi, Chris. It's just interesting that I followed the fellow before me. It must be, just let me say this, and to you, too, because I don't think you have much objectivity when it comes to Clemens anyway. You never did. And you said that way back, so. But let me tell you, what more do people want the guy to do? He shut down Arizona. It could have been a sweep last year, if not for Clemens.
He pitched great in Game 7.
Game 3, Game 7.
Yeah, I agree.
The year before, Seattle, 1 hitter, 15 strikeouts. The Mets, a 2-hitter, 10 strikeouts.
Excellent point.
Maybe back-to-back 2 of the greatest games in postseason. What do they want this guy to do, Chris?
Good point, Ted. But he's not. He is 40 years old. He is 40. Well, that's going to be an interesting question all day. I know Ack is going to have all the update. At about 5:40 tonight, Ack will tell you the rotations. And I think Ack finally realized the Ryder Cup is on, so I'll give you a couple scores as you head to 1 o'clock.
Nice tease.
Pat Becker and Dave LaGreca. I think it'll be about 7 o'clock tonight. 7-1 over Houston. Popping that champagne, baby. Woo! Enjoy your weekend.
Sports Radio 66. The Fan. WFAN.
Listen for your chance to win the most Yankees playoff tickets and talk Yankees playoff baseball here on your flagship station for New York sports. The Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York. WFAN 2020 Sports.
Good afternoon at 1 o'clock. This is Rich Ackerman. The Yanks keep rolling. Win number 101 came.
Well, that's the problem, that there has been nothing laid out there of hard evidence that you can actually reach out and grab hold of and say, yes, this is why we have to do this now.
Isn't that your point, Bernard?
That's exactly my point. And by the way, the difference between me and the hand-wringing, penny-wearing liberals who are against invading Iraq is that their concern is Iraqi deaths. My concern is American deaths. Big difference.
Yeah.
Doesn't cross the bar.
Yep.
Doesn't pass the smell test to be sacrificing American lives for what? For regional stability?
And they were, for a while, the administration was trying to establish, this was during the summer, I believe, some link between the events of September 11th and Iraq, and they couldn't make that fly, or they couldn't come up with anything.
Well, again, hard evidence. I mean, there's rumor and suspicion and innuendo and all of that, but that's...
Though they certainly exploited the sentiment of the 9/11 commemoration to sell war invading Iraq, which was a little, a little shaky.
Charles? I frankly think I agree with...
Well, I don't disagree.
Right.
That I would like, for my own satisfaction, to see something hard evidence somewhere to say, yes, this is what he has. This is why he was buying the aluminum rods. We now see this, that there's an accelerator somewhere or something.
No, but we don't have any of that.
We have no evidence whatsoever. He's not a global terrorist. He's a local thug. The people around him are in danger, but there's no danger to the United States of America. There's no history of him ever sponsoring terrorism on American soil. And for that matter, not much in that region.
Doesn't say a lot for him that he was pound-a-tating that baby Dr. Claire Shipman, does it? That's ugly.
It doesn't help his position, no.
But again...
That's like that. You can kind of imagine a scene with her and Saddam, much like Ralphie and Janice last night on The Sopranos.
Dear God.
Which was...
troubling.
And Bernard, of course, I didn't know what was going on. But then Bernard explained to me, because...
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I couldn't hear the vibrator.
She was shoving it.
Okay, no. I don't want to hear that. I did wonder what was going on, but why did we need to...
Well, you knew something
weird was happening.
Exactly, but I didn't realize that because neither did I. But our hearing...
It was. I'll be interested. Mike Francesa is going to be on this one.
Yeah.
It was a crummy episode.
It was disgusting and it was disturbing, and not that funny.
It wasn't. I mean, my wife thought it was funny when Janice, that's her name, right?
Oh yeah.
When Ralphie comes over and she shoves him down the stairs because she's looking for some reason to get rid of him, because he didn't take his shoes off, and then that was kind of amusing.
Oh man.
But the whole Columbus Day Native American, that was kind of funny.
It seems strained a little.
But it was trying way too. I don't know.
I'm gonna beat up a few Indians.
And then
I don't know. It's just...
It didn't rise to the level that we've...
No, it certainly wasn't like
want.
episode 1 or 2.
No, it's not one for the book.
But I noticed David Chase didn't write this one. Michael Imperiale, whatever his name is, he wrote it. He plays Christopher, right?
Correct.
Yeah, well, I think
That may explain it.
He's got some work to do. Because it... and then some of the acting was strained. What are we talking about?
We're talking about
how
how
the
the
acting was strained. Shut up. What is the acting was strained? You're acting strained.
It's a meatheads.
It's 29, 30 minutes after the hour.
For him to be in Baghdad, the center of one of the most dangerous dictators in the world, with all kinds of weapons of mass destruction, to be questioning the veracity of our own American president is the height of irresponsible. He needs to come home and keep his mouth shut.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? Imus in the morning.
All right. If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with lung cancer...
Resolution they put against him.
So
what are you supposed to do? What do you mean, so what? Why do you put resolutions
So
on
let the UN invade him.
No. The UN refuses to invade him, and this is a continuation of what happened.
So you're going to die for that?
Can I give my speech? And then you can bash me if you like.
Israel's violated resolution.
Calm down, Bernard. Let's just moron tell us what he thinks.
This is a continuation of what occurred the first time. When we invaded the first time, we agreed to leave things be and create resolutions. If you're not gonna stand by the resolutions, this guy has to go. I mean, you could make some of these same arguments before September 11th. That if we wanted to go in Afghanistan and eliminate their government before the 11th occurred, you could use some of the same arguments. Oh, they didn't do nothing yet.
It turns out we had a lot of evidence, too, by the way, that was overlooked.
You have evidence in retrospect, but you have to put the whole body of work together on Iraq. This guy is not being stubborn. He's not going against these resolutions out of stubbornness.
Charlie, get off the phone. You're losing me. It's 7. We get your point. 17 till the hour now.
First and goal, Seattle from the 3. Up the middle, Alexander, huge hole. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Untouched. Great block, Max Strong, the fullback, waltzed in there. Would you label this first half performance by the Seahawks as convincing?
You ain't nothing but a hound. Been snooping around my door. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Been snooping around my door. You can wag your tail, but I ain't gonna feed you no more. Imus in the morning.
You can't be in the baseball business without obsessing about the weather. At the end of
this week, because I was so excited to show Mary Nichols and Kevin my Woodstock typewriter and all my Richard Nixon book and stuff, and they could not have been less, and they're lovely people. She's a great photographer.
Why?
But they could not have been less interested.
Well,
their eyes glazed over, and they just said...
You think they could not have been less interested?
Yeah.
And eyes glazed over.
Right.
You know what? You know the history of this.
Yes.
Of your Alger Hiss Whitaker Chambers, Sam Tannenhouse obsession.
All right.
You know where we've been with this.
It wasn't an obsession.
What the hell is it? It's not an obsession. What the hell is it?
No.
What the hell is it if it's not an obsession? How would you describe it?
Did you read this book?
I've read the book.
Well, it's a great book.
It's a terrific book. It is a terrific book. The book is passed. You have read it. I have read it.
Right.
You have built your little shrine.
Sit down. I don't have a shrine.
What is it? You have the typewriter, you have the book, you have the 6 crises, you have everything sitting out there in a little shrine, probably under some kind of glass.
No, I don't.
Something.
My wife bought the typewriter from...
Why are you calling...
From old, what's his name, down in the village, old Titel, who actually tried to build a typewriter for Alger Hiss to prove, because the Hiss people wanted to prove that Whitaker Chambers could, in fact, have phonied up a typewriter. They never could build it. They couldn't get it done. Because a typewriter is like... What's the matter, Sid?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, why? But
who are these
you
people?
Don't believe me. You don't even want to know. And why
you probably don't.
Why are we?
You want to attack Iraq?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yesterday.
Why?
Well, because Saddam Hussein he's a demon. He's a devil. If we don't own him first, he's going to hurt us.
Well,
we got to kill him.
He hasn't done anything for 10 years, and there's not any indication.
That's not true. His fingerprints were all over the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. I heard that from George Will right here on this show.
That's not true at all.
That's exactly... No, it is true.
Not at all.
Because the one of those crazy-eyed Arabs had a passport from Iraq
Yeah, how about that?
So for 15 of the hijackers had passports from Saudi Arabia.
Well,
they stay with Saudi Arabia.
Well, bomb them too. I don't care.
All right, fine. Let's bomb them. But I don't see you joining the Army.
I'm in. Today.
Let's go.
Take the Jets. Why don't you use those guys? They can't play football. They're big. They're strong. Use them.
No, even worse than that, the New York Giants. And that they're leading 7-0. There's, I don't know, 14 seconds less than a half.
Yeah.
And they throw a pass like that?
Well, I mean, how stupid could you be? That results in a touchdown for the Cardinals on defense, and all of a sudden, the Giants had outplayed the Cardinals the whole first half. The Cardinals miss a field goal, so you think at the very least you're going to go in with a 7-0 halftime lead.
Yeah.
And instead, it's a 7-7 game. The whole game turns at that point. The Giants did score a touchdown, I meant in the second half, a long touchdown, a 76-yarder from Kerry Collins to Ron Dixon. They called that back. The Cardinals scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Right now, we are not even in October yet, and it is official that football season in New York is over.
How about in St. Louis?
It's over there, too. They're 0-4. Kurt Warner's out for 5 or 6 weeks, broke his finger yesterday. It's all done. It's all history. But how about your guy in San Diego? Marty Schottenheimer, 4-0.
Well.
And you're a big Charger fan, aren't you? Have you been since the days of Lance Orworth, Dan Fouts?
No, I'm not. I'm big. Juniors say on those people, they make me nervous, and I don't like them.
Well, I thought you liked Marty Schottenheimer.
I do, but I mean, I'm a Washington Redskins fan.
Well, they didn't lose yesterday. That's the good news.
But they're not doing well, and they're not going to do well.
No,
but I'm going to show some guts and stick with them.
You're going to stick with them?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long season for Steve Spurrier and the Redskins.
And I'm a New England Patriots fan, even though they lost yesterday.
Yes, they did lose yesterday to Marty Schottenheimer's.
Yeah, but they were getting ready to score twice.
Yeah.
And Brady threw interceptions.
Yeah.
They were down there in that what color is that zone?
Red.
They were down there in the red zone twice, and he threw interceptions. They were going in to score.
Very disappointing.
They were at least going to get field goals.
At least, yes. But they were down by a touchdown late, so a field goal would have done them any good.
No, I'm talking about earlier in the game.
Yeah, well, third quarter they had one.
They marched
off.
right down the field, throws interception, turn around again, march right down the field, throws another interception.
Very
come on.
Very, very disappointing. So. Boomer Esiason's show, by the way, is excellent. Have you seen that yet?
No,
on MSG?
No, I haven't.
I think you should watch it. I think you'd like it.
Steelers beat the Browns. That was that's another overtime situation where the Browns never touched the ball.
Never touched the ball. Yeah, but you know what? They have a stat because what happens is if a team scores in the first possession of overtime, the game is over. Unlike college, where both teams get the football.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, less than 50% of the teams that get the first possession of overtime.
Fewer than 50. Go ahead.
Yeah, win the game. Yeah. How about that?
That's good.
So just because you get the ball initially doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the football game.
And Drew Bledsoe's doing pretty well in Buffalo. They won again.
They won again. They beat the Bears in overtime, 33-27. Bledsoe's doing very well.
Packers beat Carolina. That was a good game. Carolina could have tied that. But
right. The kid missed like a 19-yard field goal late, and the Packers held on for a 3-point win.
And the Lions beat the Saints.
Yes. Joey Harrington, how about that? The first-round pick out of Oregon wins in only his second start in the National Football League.
And Cincinnati is 0-4.
They're awful.
They are.
Buccaneers killed them. But, John Gruden is another guy that you like. The Buccaneers are now 3-1. He's doing a nice job. They've won 3 in a row.
Right. And, man, what is the deal with the Jets?
They're just terrible.
Joe, I was talking to Joe Benigno. He said,
he's got to be.
You spoke to him this morning?
Good.
Yes.
He spoke to you?
Yes.
Oh, because I figured he would just be absolutely crazed.
Well, he was crazed. He was not happy.
Crushed.
He's on a suicide watch.
Yeah, he's going to do something terrible.
Well, he seemed like is he in bed?
No, he's come to terms with it.
I think he's
taking it in stride,
resolved.
Actually. Yeah, he's resolved to being a loser.
Yeah. He's resigned to his fate.
The Knicks, the Mets, the Jets.
Every single team.
He's got nothing.
Yeah.
Never win in my lifetime. Never win.
And the Sopranos. And the Sopranos suck.
Yeah, I mean everything was bad. The Sopranos was terrible. I'll tell you.
And I was hollering at David and White. I said, we're in Connecticut. I said, we have got to go.
Yeah.
We've got to get home to see this.
Man, it was terrible last night. You know what it is? Too much Silvio. I'm telling you, that's the problem.
Crummy script.
Ralphie got hosed, and so did the audience.
Yeah, it was just not.
Janice is a pig. I don't even want to see her on the show anymore.
Whack her, please.
Well, why is she even on the show? Because she's John Turturro's sister?
I don't know.
She's a nobody. She's not good. She's not funny. She's fat and ugly. And
let's get some Heine at the Bada Bing back.
Yeah. Let's get some more of Adriana. Bring back the FBI agent. There wasn't one, with no Meadow, no Adriana, and no FBI agent Danielle last night. No eye candy whatsoever. I would have rather seen, like you said, Christopher shooting up in his toes last night.
I don't want to see that either, by the way.
Imus in the morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Fair to Midland, how you doing? What can I help you with?
Let me see. Let me get a pack of those Miles.
All right.
A bottle of Miles.
Sure.
2 of those Miles on the right over there.
Sure.
No, the chocolate.
Oh, they're good. Bittersweet.
Every Sunday, this moron goes someplace and
does something. Chuck
He
Schumer.
holds a public press conference every Sunday.
Yeah.
He is the biggest grandstanding schmuck, camera-hogging moron. It is shameful.
Down at a mobile station.
Well, you got to think about that. Those Monday headlines right here.
Well, that's what he's thinking about.
Sure.
But I would say that's good work on the staff's part.
Getting him out.
Yeah, but he's not a statesman. He's a self-aggrandizer. He's looking out for himself.
Well, what's he supposed to do?
Shut up.
Yeah, good point.
Schmuck Schumer every Monday morning. You can count on it.
Why do we run it?
Because there's a lack of headlines. It's local. It's New York. Things are slow on Monday mornings.
Well, he knows that. Did you get a hold of Lupica?
Not yet. We're efforting him.
You talk about that Ryder Cup situation. Yeah, that was just... I don't get that.
That's not good.
It's a more annoying little jerk on the planet, by the way, than Sergio Garcia. Oh, God. What a little weasel.
Got a little bit of a toot going for him, I think.
Calm down. Anyway, what else, Chuck?
Important deal, you know. I mean, pretty damned important, and you better know it.
Yeah.
Yankees and Mets both winners, and the Jets and Giants both losers. And Jeff Gordon, just as your brother said, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
Won that event at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, the NASCAR event.
Both of them a lot, but I've recently become a Bonnie Raitt fan, but...
Came late to that party, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, that girl can sing. God almighty.
Yes, sir.
I just didn't... Well...
No. You said you arrived late.
Yeah.
Party started at 9. You got there at 12.
I mean, they put these pigs on that VH1 Diva deal, and why they don't have Bonnie Raitt there is to... You know, now, the girl's got some miles on her, but so do I.
Well, so what?
She doesn't want to do it, probably. That's why.
Well,
she may not.
Yeah.
But
don't associate me with that.
I mean, the only criticism... Well, it's not a criticism. I just think what's kind of slowed Bonnie down is I just don't think you can marry everybody in the band. I think you have to keep that separate. I just think it's... Don't dip your pen in company ink. And I think that should apply to the band as well.
Nah.
So, well, that's just... Like Julia Roberts marrying the cameraman. I mean, how's that going to last? It's not. It's not going to... I mean, it's not even... It's like, how long is Sid going to last in this program? It's just Francesca had Charles and I with tears in her eyes yesterday.
God, it was great.
I mean, it was like a stand-up routine. I mean, Francesca just essentially, I can't do what he was doing, but I mean, it's just a question of...
No, but the bottom line is he did have an over and under, and I mean, his over...
It's between 6 and 8 months before they perp walk Sid out of the studio.
And who goes first, Sid or Saddam Hussein?
I mean, Sid will have a raincoat over his head and handcuffs. And be saying, Danielle, I'm sorry, or whatever.
Yeah. And it's 8 months max.
Yeah. All right, quarter after the hour.
Now I'm just a bartender, and I don't like my work, but I don't mind money at all. I see lots of sad faces and lots of bad cases of folks with their backs to the wall. And I need 4 walls around me to hold my life and keep me from going astray. And I need a honky-tonk angel to hold me tight, keep me from slipping away. Imus in the morning.
Oh my God, Gretchen, Megan.
But the Ralphie stuff was fun.
You know, he did. I'm pleased to learn. He's a charming guy.
He seems very charming.
And very bright.
Yeah.
And dapper.
He was.
Yes.
Yes. Well turned out.
Yeah. I'm glad to see that he did call the producer and say, "What have you got me doing here with this scene?" So he just didn't willingly acquiesce and say, "Fine, I'll be happy to do that."
Right.
But any guy who wears a beret like that, you can see him doing a scene like that.
I just want to know about Sid's little interlude with these things.
Sid what?
Wasn't Sid mentioning yesterday that he's had encounters with vibrators?
That's true.
Why would you want to hear about that?
But no, you're right.
But he represents part of the population that likes that kind of thing.
Just a curiosity factor to see what motivates
They all
him.
win numbers on their back.
Yeah, he likes it, not normal people.
Yeah, Sid is, Princess is right. Sid is it's just a question of time. I mean, Mike's not even willing to consider any other option.
Oh, no, he's adamant. Eight and out, maximum.
Yeah.
It's
not like a sports prediction where, he acknowledges that, well, anything can happen, he could be wrong.
Right.
This situation, there's nothing going to happen, according to Mike, that Sid is going to be let out of here in handcuffs.
Really?
In fact, I had Sid back in the office yesterday, and I said, we all have changed our lives. Not all of us, but some of us have.
Yeah.
And it's possible for you to do that. He says, I am what I am. I said, but that's you're not what you are.
Is he in Page 6 a lot? Has he been in Page 6? Partying it up?
No, I don't think that's...
No, he's not that... That's
no,
not
his problems are darker than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
No, the police blotter, that's
Yeah, his...
I don't know him well enough then.
Yeah. What's going on in the world of scum?
Well, funny we should talk about these vibrators. Socialized benefits may have some benefits after all. The UK-based newspaper The Guardian reports that Britain's National Health Service is now prescribing vibrators for women suffering from sexual problems.
Duh.
What a duh.
What was a duh for?
Of course, if you have a problem, you get a little
I know,
assist.
but they're actually giving money to the healthcare program so that women can go out and get them for free.
Well, they're out of their minds over there. Socialists over there, but you can go out and get it yourself for $9.95.
How much?
No, but this is what?
For how much?
Well, it depends on what you want.
I want to see that
What's the
model.
range, B?
How is it that you know so much about
$10.
that?
I mean, any moron knows.
Is that the ribbed kind, or does it come with feathers?
Woman has a little problem, you get a little assist. You get a little battery-operated assist.
26 after the hour.
Just ask the women in your life.
Are you talking to me?
Well, what are you, ignorant on the subject?
Page 6 reports that Snoop Dogg is busting some chops
Leave her alone.
over his old boss at
She
Death
probably
Row
has a
Records.
suitcase just
I'm trying to do my
specifically for
report.
those things.
I got across the border, let's just say that.
Open that suitcase, please.
Where are all those batteries for, miss?
Oh, they all fall out.
Are these heat-seeking missiles or what?
Oh, get out of here.
The sinister machinations of power are revealed on the next Sopranos.
You send a message to that prick, Tommy Four Eyes, before I wipe the Senate floor with him. He shuts his mouth and shows some respect, or he's sleeping with the cannons. Capiche?
With war and incontrovertible certainty, the family's all jockey for position.
And that Opie Taylor-looking dick writing on the op-ed page? Same goes for him. Or he'll be changing his name to Deadheart.
But support comes from the most unlikely of places.
Little Steven, the movie Jew, Spielberg, he's behind us. That Mission Impossible Tommy Cruise missile, he's behind us. So Barbara Banana Beak, she gets in line too. Or somebody breaks her thumbs and her nails.
True colors are shown.
And Allie Lockbox, he's gonna wake up with a horse's ass in his bed. And I ain't talking about that fat wife of his neither.
It's not personal, it's business.
The stock market. Uncle Junior Bush has got a plan here. There's a lot of money to be made in body bags, my friend.
Meanwhile, back in New Jersey, a shakeup with the green regime.
The Don has spoken. His Guma has chosen a capo for her organization. No disrespect to Baby Bun's gal, but she's decided to go with Bobby Shirts. And Baby Bun's better be okay with that, or else the Don's gonna take one of them cross pens and stick him in the neck with it.
Violence, betrayal, and respect on the next Sopranos.
You tell Allie Lockbox I'm gonna cut off his sausage and cook it. There ain't enough there to make much of a meal, so I guess I'll have to fix some pasta to go with it.
Hi, I'm...
I mean, you can't even read that. Read that.
Let me
read,
see.
Don't read it aloud.
no,
read it
no.
to yourself. Hey, Imus, you dope. Torricelli has not resigned. He's still a senator. I'm aware of that.
Oh, come on.
Please have someone rip the Bernard McJerk Halloween mask off Paul Begala, who is obviously masquerading as your producer. That's kind of ugly.
That is ugly.
Deidre and the I-Man may be the only Republicans on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Well, I'm the only Republican in Essex County, New Jersey. tell the IMA to lay off Doug Forrester. Well, we don't know anything about Doug Forrester.
No.
We're going to find out something about him.
That's all.
So, is he on the phone now?
He is holding, yes.
Good morning, Mr. Forrester. How are you?
Hi, man. I'm well, thank you.
I'm sorry we were late, but...
No, I appreciate being involved.
So we were supporting you because Torricelli was a dirtbag, but we thought you were going to win. Now we want to know what the hell the deal is with you. You got what you wanted. The guy didn't resign, but I mean he dropped out of the race. So
now remember, you pledged to support me unless it looked like I was losing. And
yes.
Okay, so I'm not losing now.
Not today. No.
I hear terrible rumors though that the Democrats are going to use you to replace Torricelli on the ballot. Is that true?
Well, I wouldn't be eligible because I'm a resident of New York, but
funnier things have happened in New Jersey.
I bet they have. Yeah. So, well, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, gee, I've been married 27 years, which to a great gal I went to junior high school and high school with. My parents, terrific folks. Neither went to college. My dad never finished high school. But they taught me important things that I like to think I learned in life about hard work and loving God and country. So I came east to go to school. I won a scholarship to Harvard and came down to Princeton Seminary to examine the possibility of going into the ministry, and decided not to do that as a vocation, but sure enjoyed the education. I went part-time, and it's one of those deals where you cram a 3-year program into 8 years, which I did. So it was a great opportunity for me, and I got involved and had some good government experience. When Tom Kean, who was governor of New Jersey for a number of years, was there, he appointed me to be the head of his retirement funds, teachers and police and fire, state, county, local employees. So I know government pretty well. I was mayor of my town, and I used to teach government at the University of Pennsylvania. So that, and coupled with the business experience, I think gives me a good position to represent New Jersey well and from an informed point of view.
So the people who suggest that Senator Torricelli, among others, that you don't belong in the Senate because you don't have any experience is not quite right, right?
Well, I think it's very far off base. I actually happen to think that I bring some very important background. 3 out of the last 4 senators New Jersey has elected, Senators, Bradley and Lautenberg and Corzine, didn't have any experience in government before they got there, and I do, and I think it's important to know local government, important to know state government, and actually running a large statewide agency is helpful too, because sometimes I think, lawmakers pass laws and they don't really understand how they get worked out in the administrative process. And so I think I know how government can work better.
So if you were talking with Doug Forrester, who's a Republican candidate for the seat that's currently held by Senator Robert Torricelli, and he was running against Senator Torricelli, and Senator Torricelli announced yesterday that he was just going to, get out. So do you all have any idea who's going to run, who they're going to run? Bruce Springsteen, Bradley?
I don't know. The irony here is that I'm being sued. I don't know what that's all about, but apparently I've been named by the Democratic committee along with the other candidates. There are about 3 or 4 other candidates that are on the ballot. But it's important to remember, or it's important to realize here that this election is underway. Most people don't realize that. Ballots have been printed. They've been distributed to the armed forces and to absentee ballot people, and actually some people have already voted and returned those absentee ballots. So this election isn't something that's coming in 5 weeks. This election is already underway. So the idea of swapping out a candidate that some party leaders want to do at the last minute, I don't think is a good idea.
Well, you were calling for him to resign, and if he'd have resigned, then you'd have been faced with what you're faced with now. So,
well, we called.
Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, along with some newspapers in the state, we called for him to resign, back in August. And if he would have done that, as some of his own party members suggested, then they would have been able to replace him. We would have had an election that would have been, an orderly one. Ballots hadn't been printed, even 2 weeks ago. The law says 51 days, and part of the reason why has to do with the printing of the ballots and distribution. They've been distributed. People have actually voted. So,
I saw it just the other day after this memo came out, which it couldn't have been, was less than a week ago, calling for him to resign. So,
well, I think if he would have resigned from the Senate, which is really what we were talking about, he would have paid a price in terms of giving up that seat. Now, if he would have gone back and stayed in the ballot and won re-election and the people would have accepted it, well, I wouldn't have had anything to say about it. We would have just, that would have been part of what the electoral process produced. So I don't see any conflict there. The problem that we face now is that we're again in a distraction. For months I've been trying to talk about national security issues and getting more money back from New Jersey. New Jersey's at the bottom of the list in terms of getting money for environmental cleanup and transportation and Medicare. And every time we talk about that, things got distracted because Mr. Torricelli's misconduct. Now I find that we're trying to talk about it, and everybody's talking about this issue of trying to change the rules of the election. So at some point, I hope, people will listen to us talk about the real issues.
Well, if you were in the Senate today, you would have to probably decide on what we ought to do about Iraq. What should we do?
Well, I think Saddam Hussein is a problem. We've been fooling around with him too long. I think the exact the way in which President Bush, is going to choose to make a regime change isn't known to us yet. But, this guy is a bad guy, and he now has a distribution network. I mean, before he didn't, but we're finding out about, this relationship with Al-Qaeda. Having a distribution network for weapons of mass destruction that's really kind of prompted by Saddam Hussein is a terrible thing to contemplate. So I agree with President Bush that we need to get this guy out of there and neutralize this threat, because it's only going to get worse.
Well, what threat? What imminent threat does he pose to the United States? And what, by the way, connection with Al-Qaeda?
Well, there's clear evidence that is emerging regarding that connection now. We find that
I'm seeing any evidence. I mean, what clear evidence?
Well, I believe that interestingly enough, one of the things that we talked about in the election before Mr. Torricelli resigned had to do with his championing a group called the Mujahideen al-Khalq, which is based in Baghdad, funded by Saddam Hussein, part of the network of terrorism that the State Department has long recognized. And it's this kind of network of terrorism that is, I think, the threat. It isn't just Saddam launching a missile. It's distributing these weapons of mass destruction, not necessarily nuclear. We're talking about chemical and biological as well. So I honestly believe that there is a connection here, and the stakes are too high to contemplate. I mean, some of this biological stuff, the Russians for years during the Cold War were producing biological weapons that are so horrific, and they produce them in mass quantities when even little teaspoonfuls, would be immensely dangerous, kill tens of thousands of people. So that's the kind of thing that really worries me, and that's what prompts me to think that President Bush is on the right track to find a way to get this guy out.
But the thing that I keep hearing, and by the way, nobody wants to kill these thugs more than I do, but however, I think you have to be reasonable, and that is that we haven't had any clear, unambiguous evidence presented to us, but we've had these, this sort of these amorphous sort of charges about this kind of threat he poses without any real... And the guy's been there for 10, 12 years since the Gulf War, and he hasn't done anything other than gas a few of his own people and go out with a fat hooker. So, I need somebody to explain to me why it's worth having young men and women from this country come home in body bags, because this guy might do something.
Yeah. Obviously, we want to do everything we can to avoid that. I think the issue for me, and I think, as I understand the issue for President Bush, is that the intelligence that is available indicates very clearly that removing Saddam Hussein is going to remove a threat of distribution of weapons of mass destruction. I'm not sure what the best mechanism is at this point. In other words, the president has not identified that. I know that his call to be tough with Saddam Hussein has gotten a response, at least. For a long time, we wouldn't even get any response. Now there's at least discussions about some sort of inspections and so forth. I'm glad the president's holding firm, though, because I think he's one of the ones that's making it very clear that we're not going to tolerate that, and there is a clear danger. I believe him in that regard. We need to get this guy out. I'm not sure the best mechanism, and I trust that the president will identify that.
I got an interesting, we're talking with Doug Forster, who's running for the Senate in New Jersey. I got an interesting America Online instant message that we unfortunately have a relationship with those people in which people who listen and watch this program are able to contact me, which I, by the way, discourage, but nevertheless they do. And somebody made I thought it was a fairly good point this morning, and that is that they've been shooting at our planes for 10 years and haven't hit any of them in terms of what threat they pose. So I guess at some point they could hit them. But
yeah, well, that's something that's been coming out quite a bit lately, and they've actually shown some videos, I think, that I've seen about those kinds of assaults. He's done whatever he can to... On
a far more serious note, we're talking with Doug Forster, running for Senator Torricelli's seat in the United States Senate. Should the president repeal his tax cut, or...
No, I think the tax cuts need to be made permanent. And especially now, New Jerseyans are at the bottom of the pile. I think, as I mentioned, we get back less in tax money than any other state. New Jersey needs those tax cuts because we need the money back in New Jersey. For every tax dollar that we save, it really helps us. We've got a very high property tax situation in New Jersey. We need to provide property tax relief, even though it's not a federal issue. It's a big state issue, and New Jerseyans need that kind of relief. We've got to have these tax cuts be permanent. We've got to eliminate, the death tax and the marriage penalty and the tax on Social Security. That's the kind of stuff that will really help New Jerseyans, and that's what I want to talk about. That's why I'm so happy, in one sense, that Mr. Torricelli has stepped aside, because I think the big distraction about his conduct will now allow us to really get to these issues.
It doesn't make any difference what I think, but actually you sound fairly reasonable. I'm sure the number of issues we don't agree on, but that's irrelevant. You sound like you have a nice sense of humor, so I don't know what it's worth. We're going to, until they come up with something, until you start trailing, we're with you. So
it's that strong, unwavering support that I've always appreciated.
But you've been very gracious to come on, and you have a delightful sense of humor and a good sport about all this, and good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Doug Forster, running for the Senate in New Jersey. And well, they do kind of misrepresent some of his positions with his ads, don't they? Leave you thinking that he's...
Well, it's that's why we run the ads. I guess. The little thing called spin.
Kind of like him, don't we, Bernie?
Yeah, very good. Amiable, sense of humor.
Not
statesman-like.
Yeah, he's not like a schmuck that was on a school board.
He's not a crook either.
No, not at all.
No, I don't.
Restore some dignity to New Jersey. You got the one guy who bought his seat and the other guy sold it. We need a guy like this in there.
I was kind of impressed. Well, we'll stay on his bandwagon until something else happens.
Until Bill Bradley gets in the race and he's...
Well, then of course we'll have to we're constantly reevaluating our positions on things.
Sure.
I think Warner can tell you that.
Live in the moment.
Yes, my wife says you got to live in the now.
Yeah.
We evolve.
10 minutes now till the hour.
I have asked attorneys to file with the Supreme Court of the United States motions to have my name removed from the general election ballot for the United States Senate.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Let's call it a night. The party's over, and tomorrow start the same old thing again.
Imus in the morning.
Get ready to build smarter, build better at Riverhead Building Supply. Riverhead carries the things you need to create the home you want, including Anderson windows.
And white kids too, wearing their hats bad. We got them at the ranch all summer, wearing their hats sideways. And
I can't explain that.
Well,
you want to keep the sun out of your eyes. You would imagine they turn it around, but they're being rebellious. But the beret's a different story. It's not like it's taking the city by storm or the nation.
Well, I think it reveals more about you that you're troubled about it than the fact that he wears it, don't you, Charles?
It's very conspicuous.
Well, I think that...
no, it's not. I mean...
First he's wearing a beret. Next thing you know, he's on TV taking a vibrator up his butt.
Well, but that's an acting job.
I don't think he really did.
I don't think he really... I don't think
it went that...
You connect the dots.
What's wrong with you?
There's nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with him?
There's nothing. He's an actor.
Okay.
Well, he didn't really take a vibrator up his butt.
Clint Eastwood's an actor. Hey, you don't know what I'm not.
Well, maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did what?
Took a thing of his situation.
It's a very reality-based show.
Well, you're right about that. It has almost a reality show look. You're right.
Mm-hmm. No. Time out. Now you're getting crazy.
What?
He didn't take it. I mean, that's a...
Well, the only thing that lends credence to the thought that he did is the stupid, silly-looking beret that he insists on gallivanting around the city in. You see him in,
yeah, that is
Russian Malloy, page 6.
No, you're absolutely right. He's never seen without that.
Right. He insists on it.
Well, what's wrong with it? I wear a cowboy hat.
All right, well...
I have a great head of hair, but I wear a cowboy hat.
You look equally as silly, I must say.
What?
I mean, you're out of place, conspicuous here in New York City. It's crying out for some sort of attention or acknowledgement or something. I can't put my finger on it. Because I'm not a psychiatrist.
One of the cowboys at the ranch says, what do you wear when you're in New York? I said, I wear this. Well, what else would I wear?
Baseball cap? Maybe nothing? You have a nice head of hair.
Yeah, they took a picture. Mary Nichols for Architectural Digest took a picture of me and Deidre that they're probably going to put on a cover whenever they do the. And it's at our house in Westport, which is not Southwestern. It's some Swedish, whatever the hell it is. It's a gorgeous place that Deidre did, but I mean, you wouldn't expect to see somebody there with a cowboy hat on. When I say you want to take a picture of me, take a picture of me like this. Hey, look, that's a great picture.
Okay. Do you say so?
I'll bring the picture in next week. She left it up at the house. I have a Polaroid. I'll bring it in. It's a great picture of me and my wife.
Are both of you in cowboy gear?
No,
cowgirl?
No,
I mean?
no. She. Although she doesn't. She had a sweater on and jeans. That's what she. She's not gonna.
Yeah. At least a cowboy hat doesn't connote femininity or, some sort of French thing.
Well, I think it would depend on what part of town it was worn in.
Well, how does a beret?
And what else he was wearing?
He had a pair of cowboy boots on. He had a pair of jeans on.
In fact, Bobby Bacala was saying the other day he'll wear it.
He had an expensive. He had one of those 2-button collared shirts, like the I-Man wears. I don't think it was custom made, but that's fine. He may not be at that level yet.
Here, he has them on. He sells
these berets.
They're not berets.
They're not berets.
It's a Kangol, Kangol hat from the personal collection of Joe Pantoliano.
I don't understand what's wrong with that.
Well, because what disturbs Bernard is that he wears it backward, which does make it seem beret-like, certainly.
Yeah.
And then he's, like I say, he's taking stuff up the butt on TV.
He had one scene where he's doing that. The guy plays a gangster.
How many scenes do you need?
O.J. only killed one woman.
Well, no. But O.J. really did kill the woman. Joe didn't really take it in the butt with a vibrator.
I guess that's what we're speculating about.
What? Well, they actually took the vibrator.
Where he's coming from?
Well, he's an actor.
Well, what has happened in his life to suggest that scene to Mr. Chase?
Well, nothing. I mean, nothing. It's where's Francesa? I need some help here.
Nothing.
Well, Francesa wouldn't even discuss it.
It's beneath him.
Well, that's fine.
But there's nothing that
I respect Mike. He didn't want to discuss it.
It's like
you have to wonder why Mike didn't want to discuss it. By the way.
Well, there you go.
What kind of problems are, what does he have in his closet?
What he's doing.
Inhibitions.
Nothing that we know of.
Nothing wrong with a beret, Don. Nothing wrong with a dildo up your butt, Don.
Did you hear Francesa in the newsroom yesterday?
Negative.
That's a funny bastard, I'm telling you. When he wants to be, man. Jesus God.
Slapping around our friend Sid.
Well, yeah, but he did not mean, though. He wasn't mean about it at all. It was funny. No, he wasn't malicious or mean.
Sure, pick on the Jewish kid in the newsroom.
Well, no, I mean.
That's fine. That's all right.
What's wrong? What's happened to you?
Not a thing.
Well, you can go to Joe's website, joeypass.com.
Yeah.
You can buy his book, Who's Sorry Now? It's a memoir. But guy comes from his stepfather was a thug. Wise guy. Did 21 years in a joint.
A crook.
Well,
you could say it. A crook, a criminal.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I have a different view of the mafia than most people do. I mean, there's more honor in the mafia than there was at Enron or WorldCom.
Just ask Sammy the Bull.
Well, I see. Every once in a while, you have somebody like that. But I mean, but everybody. John Gotti never bailed out on anybody. Never said a word. He died. Never said a word.
Joe Valachi never bailed. Oh.
Well,
I'm sorry.
There are a couple of people that.
I think Gotti was the prize. They weren't looking to get anybody else.
Well, he could have saved himself by revealing a lot of information.
Perhaps.
Well, he didn't.
He took it like a man.
That's my point. That Kenneth Lay and Bernie Ebbers and Dennis Kozlowski and all these other people.
Alan Grubman.
Are the lowest forms of life on the planet. So.
As Ralphie said, they all deserve bullets right between the eyes.
Yes.
It's a mob justice.
Sure, resolve it.
Oh, but I just think that you need to. I think you need to lighten up on on Joe and his hat.
There's a troubling photograph of him, though, on his website, in a hat, turned backward, and a kind of a black leather motorcycle jacket.
Well, the guy's artistic.
Very.
No seat on the motorcycle.
Oh, well, I mean, now you're you're homophobic.
Wait, no, I'm not afraid of anything. I love, hey, look.
Well, but you seem troubled. Anybody who's troubled by him wearing this beret, I think it's a good look, frankly. I thought the guy looked great. Between you and me.
You might think that.
I didn't.
It is very theatrical.
It's a very sexy look.
It's very.
Now I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. A sexy look?
Well, I don't mean sexy in terms of sexual.
The guy in the cowboy hat says the guy in the beret.
What did you mean then?
Well, I just meant it's a very hip look.
That's better. God.
Looks silly.
Because
it doesn't look silly.
You are sitting there in a cowboy hat and a lavender shirt. I might.
A Lucchese cowboy shirt.
Lavender.
Well, whatever.
Well, lavender.
Well, okay, lavender.
I don't see a lot of guys riding those bulls in lavender.
Yeah, you do, by the way.
Lavender?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, please.
You ever watch that bull riding?
Of course I do.
Well, you see the chaps they wear? The chaps they wear looks like, blouses my wife wears.
And you're into that?
Well, no, but I'm just saying they're very colorful. You can't be, color's part of life.
I can't remember lavender.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Okay, well, I'll pay closer attention to their garb.
Well, you guys, man, I'm saying you both need some therapy.
Well, no, I just.
Don't you agree, Lou?
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Really?
They got problems. They have issues.
I mean, you really have some issues you got to deal with.
I don't think so. I don't think I have any issues I need to deal with. I'm comfortable.
Gerbils tumbling out of my shorts.
On this Iraq situation, I'll tell you how I feel about it. Here, 17 after the hour.
Break it down, I-Man.
I absolutely agree with Bernard. I mean, I hate to say that, but I don't hate to say it. That's not true.
What, that we should wait?
And Norman Schwarzkopf, and Gene Kirkpatrick, and General Colin Powell.
But with the following caveat, and that is, they better be right.
No, you better be. If you've taken that position, you'd better be right, too. Now you're on this side, we all better be right.
Well, let's hope.
But at least you're taking a position. Unlike the Democrats in Congress who are cowardly and waiting to see which way the wind's going to blow before they take a position. I know Charles is taking one as well, right, Charles?
I don't know.
All right, here now, I'm Mr. Washington, Senior Military Affairs Advisor, the late General George S. Patton, Jr.
At ease, as you were. Private, check credentials of every man in this room.
Yes, sir.
We have a security breach of alarming proportions.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what it is?
No, sir.
It has come to our attention that somewhere among you, cleverly disguised as Imus in the Morning executive producer Bernard McGurk, is either Richard Gere, Barbara Streisand, Alec Baldwin, possibly even, and I shudder at the thought, Peter Arnett.
The 1991 Desert Storm Information Minister of Iraq?
Correct.
Oh, my God. Sir, at the risk of impertinence, this is a charge of such grave implications, of such serious consequence. Does the general have evidence to support an accusation of these dimensions?
The proverbial smoking gun, eh, Private?
Yeah.
Sadly, I do. We have tape-recorded confirmation, in fact, of an individual purporting to be Bernard McGurk, a man who once wanted to be a cop, simply to be able to throw people through plate glass windows and get away with it. Yeah. A person professing to be McGurk, but adopting geopolitical positions diametrically opposed to those of Mr. McGurk, and most generally associated with the donkey-assed leftist sheep of Hollywood, California.
Susan Sarandon speak?
Yes.
Bernie McGurk in the sack with Cher Bono?
I'm afraid so.
I'm sorry, sir, but I must demand your proof.
And you shall have it, Private. Bernard McGurk, appearing to be opting out of our beautiful pending little war with Saddam Hussein.
I can't believe it, sir.
Leave it, Private.
That is correct, and I'm worried about the body bags coming back to Dover Air Force Base.
My God, sir, that has to be an imposter.
That's my hypothesis, Private. This cannot be Bernard McGurk.
Saddam Hussein has been contained. That place is a garbage dump right now. He's not an Islamic zealot who hates the West. In fact, he embraces the West. He's a Western-style dictator.
Excuse me, sir, but what the hell is a Western-style dictator?
Well, other than Hillary Clinton, perhaps, beats me. That's the sort of uninformed statement from this individual that makes us nearly certain it cannot be the voice of Bernard McGurk, particularly as he seeks to diminish comparisons between Saddam Hussein and Adolf Hitler, as you'll hear.
Hitler was on the rise, building the country up. The military was huge. He was a definite threat. Where's the threat?
Where's the threat? Dear God in heaven, sir, there's the threat. Whoever the hell that treason-soaked, crop-dusting, Baghdad, butt-kissing, defect and turncoat is.
Right, you are, Private. Clearly some master of disguise.
Looks like Bernie, walks like Bernie, smells like Bernie.
Ah, yes, the garlic thing.
But it sure as hell don't talk like Bernie.
Indeed. He must be identified, Private.
Homeland Security, sir.
And neutralized.
Give him the old Ralphie Sifredo C-cell backdoor cha-cha treatment, sir.
By God, I love it so. A fitting resolution of the problem, Private. Lock and load batteries, boys, and let's move out.
I feel alright. Yeah. Now that I got my woman, I feel alright. Yeah. Every time I think about you, you've been so good to me. Imus in the morning.
The makers of the...
What's going on, dog?
You got it going on.
All right, dog. What's up with your boy with the beret, man?
Well, I don't know.
That's a little gay, man. I don't know about that, bro.
How about Samuel Jackson? He wears one.
I don't know. Maybe that vibrator was going up that poop chute. I don't know, dog.
No, I mean, I think you... No.
Yo, that cowboy hat, boy. The more I look at you, the more you look like Janet Reno, for Christ's sake. I mean, I tell you, has anybody seen Nick Nolte and the Iron together, for Christ's sake?
Get off my phone.
You get off my phone, you moron. I'll go down there and jack your monkey ass up.
You ain't gonna jack nobody's monkey ass up.
Yo, I'll knock you out for so long when you wake up, your cowboy hat will be out of style, bro.
Too late. I'll knock you out. You wake up, your car will start.
Man, your mama, man.
Yeah, your mama's mama.
Mama left the boots under my bed.
27 after the hour on the Imus Morning program. What do you think of the cowboy hat, Janice? I mean, the beret.
The beret.
Yeah.
Well, it's very French, n'est-ce pas?
Isn't it, though?
But maybe he's a painter. He likes to paint.
We know what he's painting.
I have a problem with it.
You don't have a problem with it?
No.
No.
Of course not.
He obviously doesn't care what people think to wear that hat.
What do you mean?
Well, he doesn't care what people say about him if he's confident enough to wear a beret. It's like you being confident to be bald.
Well, maybe he's just flamboyant enough to wear a beret.
Flamboyant.
Was he winking at you, Imus, at all?
No, he was fine. The guy's delightful.
It's not like that. He's not an overt, flaming Mo or anything like that. It's
But-
just there's some questions.
He takes a vibrator up the butt, though?
It's in an acting role.
Well, but he
Oh.
agreed to do it.
I believe I go wait tables, but then again, you might get the same result.
What was he supposed to say? He reads that scene, and he says what?
I'm out of here.
Sure. That's
He
it.
blows off the Sopranos over that scene?
Something. I mean, if you have any integrity, there's some things you don't do for the money, as you've always said.
Yeah, that it ain't about the money.
Because that's what people are going to remember him for now. Or at least on this show.
Sure. Buzz butt. That's what they're going to remember him for.
Yeah, you had big pussy, now you have big hiney over here.
Oh,
Big
God.
hiney hole, whatever.
That's it.
It's just not well. This show is not well.
Yeah, that's his new name, Big Hiney Hole.
Well,
It used to be cool to be associated with the Sopranos, but I mean, this is not the way you want to be,
How did he address it? Was he embarrassed by it, or he just said, I'm just going by the script?
No, he said he had some concerns, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he had some concerns, but he acquiesced.
Right.
So we're not totally out of line here.
His take was that it added a dimension to the development of the character.
Well, the character last year had the hooker girlfriend, and did he murder her? I guess he did, right?
Yes, he did, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
didn't
That was an awful...
Take a bat
horrible,
to her or something?
horrible scene.
That was awful.
God almighty.
God, that was awful.
Now he's got Janice calling him bitch and putting a vibrator up his butt.
You know.
It's just not good.
No.
This is what you came down from Canada for.
Don't let your kids watch that. Or your teenagers.
Well.
And then get pushed down the stairs.
Yeah, by that repulsive slob.
Yeah, by that skank.
Yeah. What is this teaching kids these days?
I don't know.
You know?
No, I don't mean that.
If my boyfriend said, hey, here you go, do this. Like, I'm out of there. It's just not fun for me. Why would that be fun?
Listen, you gotta
Come on.
loosen up a little bit.
Might be the right color, too.
Well, you're not teaching kids anything, by the way. They already know all this stuff. I mean,
vibrators up the...
Yes.
They know this?
All this stuff they know.
They do. My kids know nothing about that.
No, come on.
What are you trying to tell us?
Well, not at that age, but certainly when they get to be when kids at the ranch, there's nothing you can tell them.
Vibrators up the...
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, okay, that's what we're talking about.
Sid can't have kids.
That's a very
not right.
unusual occurrence, I would think.
Well, first of all, I didn't even know what was going on. Bernard, what I find very interesting is Bernard knew instantly what the deal was, and neither Charles nor I did.
No. You hear a buzzing sound. You see her arm going back, pumping. Her fist is pumping.
We didn't hear the buzzing sound.
I didn't see a fist pumping.
And he's going, "Oh, baby," she says. She's calling him a little bitch. Don't you like this, you little bitch? I mean,
he's the whore and she's the pimp in their scenario there.
Sure.
Well, he's the bitch and she's the man.
Yeah.
Very functional relationship, obviously.
She was just too fat to put on a strap on.
Oh.
Couldn't make one big enough for her.
Some report is over.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Really?
What
Listen,
happened?
They put it on HBO. It's a celebrated TV show across the nation. Now we're supposed to be able to talk about it, I would think. If it's okay with them.
Yeah.
I would think, if we, and just in my judgment, I could have done without that scene. I just don't think we needed that.
Yeah, I don't need to see the treatment of vibrators like that.
How did you want them treated, Janice?
Unless they get a consultant.
You have a better idea?
What exactly did you
We have these organizations like PETA. Now we should, the ethical treatment of vibrators.
PETA.
And I will head that up.
Do you have a scum report,
I
Janice?
do. The lawyer for two of the three Long Islanders arrested for allegedly having kinky three-way sex. It just keeps getting better. On the LIRR say they should be praised for riding the rails instead of driving drunk. Frances Green, a mother of two, was observed with her pants removed, with her butt exposed, and engaged in sexual intercourse with her brother-in-law, Dennis, while giving oral sex to her husband, Lyle. Yeehaw!
This is on the train.
Yep. This is on the train. Yep. So... the Greens were arraigned yesterday on charges of public lewdness. No kidding. The judge released all of them on their own recognizance. The plumber, the wife, and his brother fled the courthouse and refused to comment.
Plumber.
Of course.
Well, sure. Certainly.
And they were trying to say they were being responsible by not driving drunk home.
Right.
That's they just left a party and they were doing the responsible
You
thing.
know that somebody had a video camera, though. You know that's going to turn up somewhere.
On the internet.
Why can't I have a brother
On
that
The
was
Sopranos. Page 6 reports that Snoop Dogg is busting some chops over his old boss at Death Row Records. Thug rap dude Suge Knight, pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Appears in the Snoop's new song, Pimp Slapped.
There you go.
There's a nice little white girl trying to be yo-yo-yo. Snoop raps, quote, Suge is a...
Suge is my man, incidentally.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he's a friend of yours.
Oh,
They hang out all the time.
So what does he say about Suge there?
What's it say about Suge now?
Well, Snoop, apparently, the song says Suge is a bitch in the song. Snoopy. Snoop.
There you go.
Snoop.
Now Snoop's ripping me off.
Snoop Dogg.
Well,
Freak
Snoop
show.
has a video in which he refers to Suge Knight as a bitch?
Yes, it's what it says here. Page 6 reports this.
Where's the video? Is it on MTV or anything?
I don't know yet.
I'm sure that's on MTV.
Well,
right?
Suge has got to now.
now that does it.
Now Suge's got to do something.
Right.
Is that's
he
his
may as well
name?
be laying in bed with
Suge
Ralphie.
Knight, yes.
Suge Knight, yeah.
Suge.
Marion Suge Knight.
Why is he calling him a bitch?
Well, why do you call him a bitch, Bernie?
Because he's got a fat mouth. By the way, my name is Sid. He's got a fat mouth, and he does nothing. He just talks.
He doesn't back up any of his what he talked a lot about what he was going to do when he got out of prison.
Okay.
Now I spoke to him
While he was in prison?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
We had a rather lengthy interview with Mr. Knight on the program here.
It was oral sex, basically. But go ahead.
I pressed Suge very hard. And then Suge visited the studio with his posse. And I got the thug hug, everything, you know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got down with Suge here. But Suge was supposed to...
The buzzing sound effects when we need
Suge was supposed to kill a bunch of people when he got out of prison. Or at least slap them around a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Snoop
like
P. Diddy,
Jermaine Dupri, Puffy Combs, Lil Bow Wow, and those people. Lil Bow Wow had jumped ship when Suge went to the joint. And Suge was supposed to sit down with Jermaine Dupri, and they were supposed to work that out. But none of this happened. Suge didn't do anything.
Wow.
And in fact, now Snoop Dogg, in the new song Pimped Slapped, refers to Suge as a bitch.
It's not good.
Now, if Suge puts up with this...
Oh, my God.
Then the I-Man will be calling him a bitch.
Maybe you should talk to him. Can we get him on the phone? Suge?
Might have to.
Yeah, we could get him.
Yeah.
I need a dictionary with all this Suge.
If he can take his thumb out of his mouth long enough to speak into a phone.
Yeah, if he's not in a fetal position.
Oh, my God.
Oh, did you have him over for dinner? How did you meet this guy?
No, I had him as a guest on the program.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't socialize with the people who are on the program, whether they're United States senators or rap thugs. You know, they're guests. That's it. That's the end of it.
Thug hug.
Yeah. My relationship I have is with my wife and my kid. I have more fun with them than I would have with...
It's the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean... My son and I drive my wife slightly nuts because we don't want to be... Wherever she is in the house, that's where we go. So she's trying to do stuff.
You follow her around.
We follow her around.
Good plan.
So she has to lock doors to keep us out.
How about I wrap this up with a new low on the Scum Report?
Okay.
British scientists have the proof to finally dispute the myth that a man's shoe size correlates with his penis. The study of 104 men appears in the British Journal of Urology International, and the scientists conclude there is no point, ladies, using shoe size to obtain indirect measurements of penile length.
Really? Well, that's interesting. I'll be darned.
But we'll still get excited if you say you're a size 11 or 12.
Hey, you hit it right.
Wow!
That's getting close.
22 till the hour here.
Somebody's quiet over there.
Well, that's it.
Oh, Janice, I mean, you've just, I don't know.
Sunk to new lows.
I think it's...
Okay, throw me out of the studio now.
This is really
Size
troubling.
doesn't matter anyway, right, Janice?
No, right. When you have your vibrator.
12 till the hour.
Bank account.
I don't want nobody's kiss if it's not from Imus in the morning.
All right, let me talk to you about the Vermont teddy bear. Oh, hell, Marty, now. One of them little fuzzy bears. Well, maybe you could get the Vermont teddy bear and stick a vibrator in your bear's butt. No, you wouldn't want to do that. Why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
You know what you could do? You could get a little Ralphie Cifaretto teddy bear.
Yeah.
And then put a little beret on him. And then
Put him in strange positions.
I don't know. The Vermont Teddy Bear Company, they have a lot of charming, cute bears. And you probably could get one with a beret. I'm sure you could.
Sure you could.
Call them at 1-800-829-BEAR.
Hi, I'm Derek Koch, race car driver and TV analyst. You've probably heard me talk about Avacor, the revolutionary hair regrowth system that has been successful for most everyone who's used it. Now, listen to what Avacor users have to say about the program.
I want the thing off of TV. I want the shooting to stop. And I want us to declare victory. I want Saddam Hussein to be buried and for us to say, this is who we are. We did a good job, and now gas is 79 cents a gallon.
You're a good man, Barnacle. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Don.
Mike Barnacle from Boston, writes for the New York Daily News and appears on 96.9 FM Talk in Boston. We've got issues. I believe that's their slogan, or it could be some other station we're on. I'm just not sure. 14 till the hour.
It is yet one more flagrant breach of all the proper conventions of war. More than that, to the families of the soldiers involved, it is an act of cruelty beyond comprehension. Indeed, it is beyond the comprehension of anyone with an ounce of humanity in their souls.
Imus in the morning.
All right, Mohegan Sun giving you a chance to win your share of $350,000.
Primarily,
almost minute by minute. Is that what they're saying now?
Well, it depends who you talk to in the White House as to how he monitors this. I mean, you know, this notion that he never watched TV was never something we reported because we had very reliably that, in fact, on the first night of the bombing, he was watching.
from the dining room just off the Oval Office with his chief of staff. So there's no question that he's been keeping tabs. He's taken particular interest in the fate of the POWs. So he's clearly monitoring this. I mean, as to whether he's glued to the television, that doesn't really sound like his style. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, you know, this is a guy who gets his first update at 6 a.m. He has built into his day phone calls or updates throughout the day, including very formal sessions with, you know, they call the principals as part of his NSC meetings.
As always, David, thank you very much. David Gregory, White House correspondent for NBC News. Let's go to the Pentagon now. And Jim Miklashevsky. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Don. I can tell you that during the Gulf War 12 years ago, that 41 was glued to the TV in that very same dining room. I was covering the White House at the time and getting daily reports from people who were in that room with the president, the first President Bush, at the time. So it would make total sense that like father, like son. And the coverage, of course, is so much more extensive now than it was back then.
The other day, during this Pentagon briefing in which General Myers and Secretary Rumsfeld were there, you asked a question. What was that question?
The question was about there seemed to be a huge disparity in reality in terms of the reporting of U.S. casualties, dead versus injured. The number of wounded in action was much closer to the number of killed in action. And in warfare, that's just not possible unless the enemy is so effective that they're killing everybody. And so the question was, is there, I can't remember exactly what the question was, but it was something to the effect...
Well, they underreported the wounded.
Right. Is there a conscious effort by the U.S. military or the Pentagon to underreport the number of wounded?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a fair question.
No, I actually happened to just walk in the ranch kitchen there and see it live.
And what was interesting about that was shortly after that news conference, suddenly the Pentagon started, revealing numbers of wounded that were much higher. And I don't know if that was the catalyst and they tried to explain that there was a delay in reporting. Well, you can only carry that so far.
What did Secretary Rumsfeld seemed greatly offended?
He bristled at the suggestion that this would be done, but look, I mean, if the numbers were to climb too high too quickly, there is some concern within the administration that they may lose support for the war. Now, I had no proof. I had no proof or other indication other than that the numbers were somewhat out of skew, and so it was just, I said, hey, is it possible? What's going on here with the numbers? And he took off on it, but that's okay.
13 after the hour, talking with Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News. The Pentagon, why? You got a report last night about a convoy leaving Iraq for Syria with Saddam's first wife. What's that about?
There is a report that a rather large convoy of pickup trucks and SUVs were headed out of Baghdad towards Syria. And to the extent that we were told that the units of the U.S. military were actually tracking this convoy in hopes that they might be able to intercept it and take people into custody. Now, what has happened to that convoy, or whether it existed to begin with, is still a question today. But this was a widely spread report throughout the U.S. military that they were tracking this, and we know for a fact that out west in western Iraq, they have roadblocks set up to intercept any Iraqi officials leaving the country, either toward Jordan or toward Syria, and to intercept people coming into the country, such as some of these so-called suicide bomber martyr volunteers.
And the personal bodyguard for Saddam Hussein, you're guarding somebody else now? What's that mean?
It was noticed that a number of bodyguards that had been around the upper echelon of the regime, including Saddam Hussein himself, are now guarding lower members of the regime. So it indicates, again, another indication, no proof, but another indication that Saddam Hussein may no longer be in control or could be dead. But one of the strongest indications of that, Don, may have come this morning. One of those crack Republican Guard divisions, the Adnan division, had been a raid around Tikrit, Saddam Hussein's hometown, the base of the Ba'ath Party, Saddam's Ba'ath Party. And this morning, U.S. military officials report that most almost all of the Adnan division has left Tikrit, abandoning the protection of that city, and is now streaming down toward Baghdad. An indication that, they no longer consider Tikrit important. Is that because Saddam is no longer around? And that they're in big trouble down at Baghdad. Of course, when those units are on the move, that is when they are at their most vulnerable, and we're told that U.S. military airstrikes are pounding that convoy as it's headed south this morning.
Now, General Wallace, who is he and what did he say?
General Wallace heads up the 3rd ID, the 3rd Infantry Division, the largest armored fighting force in Iraq today. And if you listen to what he said, it makes perfect sense from the battlefield perspective. He said, look, and again, I'm only paraphrasing him, but he said essentially, like everybody else, including the Pentagon officials are saying, that they were taken somewhat by surprise by the hit-and-run guerrilla tactics of the Fedi militia. Well, no big surprise there. He said that they didn't war game against that kind of threat. Probably no big surprise there. What got everybody excited and spun up was that, from his perspective, it looked like the battle could last, or likely to last, longer than expected. Well, that's a big too. But what happened is that, as it was reported, particularly in some media, that this was the battlefield commander criticizing the war plan. Well, I think he was being realistic about how the war plan is changing. So here at the Pentagon, everybody got defensive. They went to their, public relations bunkers and started lobbing grenades back toward Wallace, and it got ugly. And it was foolish. It was foolish because the Pentagon is trying to insist that they have not changed their war plan. Well, if they hadn't, we're in big trouble. Every war plan is changed from the moment the first shot is fired, because you have to adjust to the evolving situation on the ground.
In my view, the reason to have, just my opinion, but the reason to have a plan B is so you can go to it.
Absolutely. And you have plan C, D, E, and F that you never even envisioned, because you have to be flexible enough to respond. And that is what's happening on the ground. But for the military leaders at CENTCOM, for Donald Rumsfeld, for everybody to say, we're not changing, the plan is ridiculous on its face. And it indicates that they've gone into a defensive crouch for political or public relations reasons. They should abandon that and just say, look, as the axiom, the truism in military conflict is that once the first shot is fired, the military plan is abandoned. And that's what's happened in this case.
I really like it, Jim, when you show big-time balls in these briefings. Good for you. Yeah.
You think?
Oh, I think you're the best. We all do.
Well,
I'm not patronizing. I think you are.
Well, no. I just ask questions that are sort of common.
That's a legitimate question.
I take my cue from you, Don. Seriously, you ask questions that are common sense, like, well, excuse me, why? and that really tends to get under Rumsfeld's craw occasionally.
Thank you very much, Jim. Keep up the terrific work, I think. Jim Miklashevsky. I sound like I'm doing promos here for him, but, well, they are good. What are you going to do? Coming up at 19 after the hour, because of my remarks about Dan Rather, we actually work for CBS,
Yes.
There's some reporters who won't appear on the program either because they don't want to, because we hammered Rather, or because he's whined about it. But I really can't think of anyone over there at CBS who I'd want on the air aside from Bob Schieffer. Anyway, 19 after the hour.
There are difficult days ahead, and to the extent the Republican Guard pose difficulties, which we expect them to, there'll be dangerous days ahead. Baghdad is not going to be easy, but the outcome is certain.
Imus in the morning.
When I bought this house, I really loved all the open space nearby.
Me too.
Too bad our real estate agent never mentioned.
30 seconds.
When they say it's 3 million New York City customers, I think it's a lot more than that, because I live in Connecticut.
It's metropolitan area. It's not New York City customers. It's 3 million.
Time Warner's in New York City. It's 2.9, isn't it, Mike? Cablevision subscribers?
Yeah, and that is the tri-state area.
Right, tri-state area. So it's not just Manhattan. It's all over the place.
We're sorry to rush you, but we do have to get the Tory, and we also have to get the NBC News at the top of the hour. This is Mike and the Mad Dog at 6. We will have Joe Torre on the other side. Right now, NBC Network News.
NBC News Radio. I'm Forrest Sawyer. American troops have killed 7 women and children at a checkpoint in southern Iraq. Officials say the van the civilians were in would not stop when ordered to. Security in the region has been tightened after a deadly car bomb attack last weekend left 4 U.S. troops dead. Secretary of State Colin Powell says when this war is over, Iraq will be a better place.
Get rid of the torture chambers. Get rid of a regime that would cut the tongues out of people who would resist it. This kind of barbaric behavior has no place in the world, and I think that message will eventually come through.
The ground is shaking again in Baghdad as Allied airstrikes rock the Iraqi capital. U.S. military officials say they're going after government buildings as well as Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard. Allied ground troops are closing in on Baghdad. Some advanced forces are now reported within 50 miles. They are looking for weak spots in Iraqi defenses. I'm Forrest Sawyer, NBC News Radio.
WFAN 2020 Sports.
Good evening, and 6:01. This is Rich Ackerman. Yes. Opportunity.
Was injured yesterday.
I don't know if I think this thing with Harala could hurt his chances to replace Brokaw as the NBC Nightly News anchor.
Darn, I hadn't considered that.
Remember when he was wanting to be considered for that?
Absolutely.
Hey, did you notice that Granner, this guy who said he was the chairman and CEO of UBS Payne Weber, he had the same kind of beady-eyed look that old Kamansky and Grasso and the rest of them had, didn't he?
What are you saying? Well, why would you?
The guy's a war hero.
Absolutely. And he's a brilliant man, obviously.
Right.
Very intelligent, sharp guy.
Very shifty to me.
Oh, come on.
Is that how you treat your guests after they leave?
No, I'm just
beady little fat guy. Beady-eyed little fat guy.
No.
Sitting here, Charles.
This former Green Beret sitting here.
No.
Now that he's gone. Now that he's gone.
Yeah, right.
No.
You slap him around.
I'm not slapping him around. I just made an observation.
Yeah,
I heard it.
Beady-eyed little crook.
Well, didn't he look a little shifty to you? That's
No,
all.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
No.
So.
Very honorable.
Well, I mean, things happen. Of course he was a war hero. Of course he was a Green Beret. But then, you get immersed in a world of high finance, and you're the head of UBS, Payne Weber, you're hanging out with Grasso, Kamansky, all of them.
Okay.
Next thing you know, you're screwing people.
Another stunningly successful man, and obviously a gentleman.
And your clients are eating dog food.
And the head.
And a patriot working for Homeland Security.
Exactly. The head of the President's Homeland Security Council working hand in glove with
reduced to a beady-eyed little fat guy.
A beady-eyed little...
By Imus the Jackal.
Beady-eyed...
No.
You just... Why is a fat, beady-eyed little crook?
No, I didn't call him a... No, I didn't.
Absolutely
No. I didn't call him No, I didn't call him a fat, beady-eyed little crook. I just said, didn't he appear to be a... And I didn't call him... I didn't say anything about...
He's one transaction away from raincoat over his head, didn't you?
No, I never said that at all.
Go back to your palace.
Honest to God.
I just simply said that,
Man, wish you were, as Russert suggested, entombed with the something.
Well, that's
the worms. That was harsh.
That is harsh. Coming up on 10 minutes after the hour. On a serious note, it was very nice of Mr. Granner to come in. And some of his observations, though, were kind of frankly disconcerting, but at least with the level of people who are working on it,
He says we're better off now than we were, at least.
Anyway,
to some degree.
Back to the serious nature of this morning, and here's Charles with more news.
Iraq's Olympic headquarters, one of Saddam Hussein's palaces, and what was believed to have been an Air Force officers' club, I-Man. Among the targets hit in the latest airstrikes on Baghdad, the bombing caused some of the strongest detonations in the Iraqi capital since the war began a dozen days ago. Explosions also heard south of the city, and attacks evidently aimed at further eroding the capabilities of the Republican Guard units defending Baghdad. Iraq's information minister claims some 24 people were killed in Baghdad. No substantiation of that. A modern building in central Baghdad, believed to have been used as the Air Force Officers Club, destroyed. Nothing left except piles of rubble, a few pillars, and an outside wall. Though a statue of Saddam, what? Now what?
This is America Online. There's a message yesterday. Sid referred to the Mets leadership under their new manager as a regime. Who taught this moron this new word, and why is he trying to relate to sports? Please kill him. One thing Rumsfeld has proved, along with the idiot neoconservatives running our foreign policy, is that he is a poor student of history. People do not like to have their countries invaded, even if their leaders are corrupt and brutal. Stalin was one of the worst of monsters in history. This fact did not prevent the Russians from doing everything in their power to defeat the invading Germans. the people of South Vietnam didn't much appreciate us saving them from Ho Chi Minh. For our war planners to have underestimated this elementary feeling of nationalism proves that their ideology has well, this is written very poorly, trumped, but any notions of objective reality and common sense.
Signed, Peter Arnett.
Well, I actually thought a lot of that is true. So they did miscalculate that, but what are you going to do? Well, we'll see. So
yeah, we will.
They're claiming they're claiming that they have this gun to their head, and that Saddam's boots on their neck, and when that's off, why, we've already seen some demonstration of that this morning in this southern Iraq, where people are now confident that the Fedayeen and the rest of them are out of there, and they are much happier to be fed and get water and not have somebody torture them than they were before. So, but then it doesn't explain the thousands of these idiotic Iraqis flooding back into the country to fight, but then we don't know how many of those there really are anyway. So, I remember a few months back when you ripped Peter Arnett and Dan Rather a new a-hole in the same sentence when he arranged the Rather interview with Saddam Hussein.
Damn right. That man's got his finger on the a-hole. On his pulse.
You were right on the money about what a jackass Arnett really is 2 months earlier than the rest of the morons at NBC. Well,
Way to go, Rye.
my favorite, though, is do you think this thing with Harala could hurt his chances to replace Brokaw? As one time Harala professed he wanted to do.
Yep.
But felt slighted because he wasn't being seriously considered.
He said because he was a Puerto Rican. Yeah, that was the reason.
Yeah. Anyway,
we're moving into that slot now.
Yeah. It is 13 minutes after the hour.
Coalition forces are advancing day by day in steady progress against the enemy. Slowly but surely, the grip of terror around the throats of the Iraqi people is being loosened.
Imus in the morning.
The wild oats natural marketplaces, it will mean the loss of fewer American lives, and Iraqi lives too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And, but two, it will mean that they will be completely, totally out of control, shoving it up the, you-know-what, of these whining, second-guessing rented generals and colonels that all of these cable channels are putting on. That are
in uniform and out.
In and out of uniform to shut them up. And I'm not as comfortable as everybody else in this program is with our Attorney General running amok and acting, nuts. But do it just for some perverse reason, just because I think it's because it will just make everybody absolutely nuts and it'll save lives. God, it will be great. But as I'm about to explain to our next guest, for being one of the more prominent media people in the country, I could be the dumbest bastard. And I'm not trying to be self-effacing either. I mean, I think many of you who know me know that I'm just not the brightest bulb on the tree. So, or lamp, or whatever the hell it is. I can't even get the metaphor right.
There we go.
there's a good example. Anyway, here from the Atlantic Monthly is Mark Bowden. Good morning, Mr. Bowden.
Good morning, Don.
How are you?
I'm doing just fine, thanks.
Mr. Bowden wrote Black Hawk Down, the book, and he wrote the script for the movie.
Helped with that.
2 people in America haven't seen that, neither read the book nor saw the movie. I'm one of them. and when you hang up the phone, you'll say, how did that son of a bitch ever get not a radio program, how did he ever even get a telephone?
I like talking to people who haven't read it because it's new to them.
Tell me about it and how it relates to what a coincidence. Not a pleasant one, of course, but we've had a Black Hawk shot down last night.
Well, it's not that terribly much of a coincidence because Black Hawks are the primary troop-carrying helicopters in the military. So, whenever we're in combat, it's very possible that Black Hawks are going to get shot down. But the story of Black Hawk Down, in short, is the account of the battle that it happened in Mogadishu, Somalia in 1993 when the United States Special Ops Forces tried to conduct a snatch and grab mission in that city, going after a couple of warlords, and found themselves trapped with a couple of downed helicopters, surrounded by thousands of armed Somalis, and they basically had to fight their way out overnight. At the end, 18 American soldiers were killed and some 1,000 or more Somalis were killed.
How did you happen to write that, Mark?
You know, I just got curious about it, Don. I mean, I write stories for a living, and I saw, probably everyone remembers the pictures of dead American soldiers being dragged through the streets of Mogadishu, Somalia, and, you know, and I saw those images that angered me, and it also confused me because I wondered how in the world something like that could have happened, and so, you know, I get paid, fortunately, to follow up on my curiosity.
So something like this potentially possible for the Battle of Baghdad?
Well, I think it comes to everyone's mind because the firefight in Mogadishu was in an urban setting, and it's a particularly dangerous kind of battlefield because people can shoot at you from 360 degrees. You don't really have good sight lines. Radio communications are interfered with by buildings. And if you're, you know, fighting in the middle of an enraged and hostile population, it makes it really difficult to pick out targets.
I wonder what sort of lessons the military can take from Mogadishu for this battle, if any.
Well, I think, you know, the most important thing, I think you've seen it being employed, is that it's really critical not to have the population of the city hostile. And I think, you know, there's still a chance that if we go into Baghdad, we won't encounter the same kind of hostility we did in Mogadishu. But I think the idea, you have to go in and force. In the case of Mogadishu, because the mission was a fairly limited one, we went in to do this snatch and grab. It was a small number of forces. There was no armor, a very little aerial support. So obviously, any military action in the urban centers of Baghdad would be far more troops, a whole lot more reinforcement of armor and air support. So I think that, you know, it wouldn't resemble it too much.
21 till the hour here in the Average Morning Program. We're talking with Mark Bowden, the author of Black Hawk Down, both the book, and he said he helped with the script for the film, and he writes for the Atlantic Monthly. So it sounds like what happened in Basra, at least from the accounts I've read, with mostly in the New York Times and Washington Post, there are some similarities between that battle and Mogadishu.
Well, I think it's because anybody who's fighting against American forces realizes that if you can lure them into a city, you eliminate a lot of the technological advantages that we have. And so we've been seeing that Saddam Hussein's strategy, insofar as one exists, in this current war, has been to pull his troops off of the battlefield and put them into the cities. And as I understand it, American forces now control almost all of that country except the urban areas.
So it's been a good idea. You're, of course, as you pointed out, a reporter. Was this a good idea to allow these reporters to accompany these troops?
I think it's a terrific idea because first of all, I think it's tremendously valuable to the families and loved ones of the soldiers who are over there fighting because it gives them an idea of what's going on. But I think it's very important that all of us have an idea of what's happening on the ground. And I think that even though each one of those reporters can give only a very small slice of what's happening during the battle, they give overall, I think, a really comprehensive picture of the nature of the war. And given the fact that information is such a important part of this battle, it adds, I think, a great deal to the credibility of the official accounts of what's going on when you can see the independent reports from people on the ground. And remember, these aren't just American reporters and British reporters. There are French reporters and reporters from Al Jazeera and German. And I was just in Europe for 3 weeks, so you really get more of a sense of the cosmopolitan nature of the coverage.
Where are you this morning?
Right now, I'm standing on 6th Avenue at 39th Street.
What are you doing down there? Looking for a deal on a watch or no?
Actually, I was on my way over to Penn Station, and I got called telling me to give you a call. So
you know, every once in a while I talk to one of these Marine. I was in the Marine Corps, but not during a war, and I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, and I was in the 11th Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. If we have to get down to actually what I did. So whenever I get one of these guys who tell me, well, now you can relate to this, Don, I always have to point that out, that although I did go through boot camp, which was arduous, but what sort of military experience do you have?
Absolutely none. I'm a newspaper reporter, and I graduated from college in the 1970s when the Vietnam War was over, and when really, I'm sure you recall, the military was sort of at a low ebb in terms of its popular esteem. And so in my generation, there weren't too many college graduates who were volunteering for service. And, I've been fortunate in my career and in my adulthood that we've lived through a period of, relative peace. So that was just never an occasion for me to be involved with the military.
I was pretty lucky because I got in sometime after, of course, Korea and or Vietnam rather, and after Korea and before Vietnam. What the hell was it, Charles?
You and I both. After Korea,
do you have any of that Alzheimer's medicine?
Yeah, let me
I can take a couple Alzheimer's pills.
I'll get a couple for
Can't remember what I did. So. Well, how do you? I mean, you are a reporter. You cover this. You know what you're talking about. What do you think so far? Just your overview of the idea of winning the hearts and minds of the Iraqis, creating a democracy out of that mess in Iraq, and our relationship with the Arab world, and so on. Just your overview of everything.
Well, I think it's a very bold risk, that's for sure. And as far as the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people are concerned, I think that we'll get more of an idea of where they are when they don't have guns pointed at their heads from both sides. There are some indications in recent days that in the areas that have been controlled, they seem to be rather grateful for having been relieved of Saddam's influence. In the long run, I think that there's a good chance that Iraq can form its own government and govern itself in a democratic way. And it's always possible that things will fall apart. But, that was the same argument that was made in Italy at the end of World War II. And I think there are probably a lot of people who thought that these American states couldn't govern themselves too well 200 years ago. So
you have sort of an optimistic view, which is rare with all the people I'm talking to.
I'm an optimist by nature, and I freely concede that it's a tremendous gamble, and that it could go all to hell, and that the region could be worse off, and we all could be worse off because of it. But by the same token, if things go well and Iraq becomes a stable democracy in that region, it's a really transforming event in that part of the world, and people will look back on George Bush and think maybe he's quite the moron that everybody thinks he is.
There's a very funny anecdote on the front page above the fold in the New York Times this morning, written by Jim Dwyer. They were going into Najaf, Iraq, and somebody asked one of the Iraqis what it would mean, what would the Americans bring to his, now that the Ba'ath Party was apparently out of power, what would it mean to him and his people there in Iraq, or in Najaf and throughout Iraq? And he said, democracy, whiskey, and sexy. Pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
I read that same story, and I thought, boy, what a terrifically succinct summary of what the Western world has to offer.
I mean, if we were going to go back to the 70s, blood, sweat, and tears, that's what I call myself, democracy, whiskey, sexy. All right, Mark, thank you very much.
Okay, Don, my pleasure.
Mark Bowden, the author of Black Hawk Down, writes for the Atlantic Monthly. Mark Bowden here in the Irish Morning Program. It's 1:45. It's 1:45. What the hell are you doing in there? What's going on in there, Lou?
I just came back in the control room.
I told you not to leave the control room when I'm talking to people. Let me talk to you about Friendly Motors up there in Wappinger Falls. Perhaps the leading Mercedes-Benz dealership in the country. Do you know, even in these hideous economic times, I was talking to the owner, Mike Oster, the big stooge, and about 6'5", gangster-looking doofus.
Yankees beat the Blue Jays 9-7. They are off to a 3-0 start. The Red Sox won again. They beat Tampa Bay yesterday, so they took 2 out of 3 in their opening series. The Mets, who were humiliating on opening day, came back with a 4-1 win last night. So the Mets are now 1-1.
I really, really hate the Mets.
Yeah. But why? Where does this hatred come from?
Their uniforms.
Their uniforms?
Right.
The orange ones, the new orange ones, or the traditional?
Everything about them.
Everything about
Any uniform they would wear?
Yeah.
Nearly?
The fact that you're a fan.
Is that what it is? Because I like the Mets? That's why you hate them?
No,
not
just
at
that
all.
reason. I don't know. They just don't seem. But Tom Seaver's a fat loudmouth schmuck I never liked.
Tom Seaver?
Yeah. And the rest of them. They're just.
Where's he in the rotation?
Well, no, but I mean, going back to that, I mean, I have some stories I could tell you about Seaver, one that
really?
I won't get into, but just an obnoxious a-hole.
You won't even tell us that story now about?
No.
No way.
Well, I'd get sued if I did.
You could tell it to me, and I will come on the air and talk about it.
Sure,
I'm not really worried about getting
sued.
sued.
Line up to sue you, right?
I should say that his inning, also the favorite inning, bottom of the 5th. Is that safe to say that?
And then, this
Move ahead.
I don't know. I just don't care.
They must have done something to you at some point. Did they ever do anything to you?
Oh, no, I just don't like them.
Steinbrenner's invited you to the box at Yankee Stadium. Maybe the Mets haven't had that same invitation, so is that possible? Have they reached out the hand to the I-Man, the Mets, and invited you to opening day? Or?
Yes.
It's that they're losers. They haven't won anything.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah. Well, they did win a World Series back in 1986. The Red Sox have never won. The Cubs have never won. You don't share the same hatred for those two clubs, do you?
Oh, I like the Red Sox, actually.
You like the Red Sox, and they lost to the Mets in the World Series.
Well,
listen, you're entitled. I mean, it's your America. Florida won yesterday. They lost. They lost to Philadelphia 8-2, and Atlanta lost again to the Montreal Expos.
What's going on in the NIT?
The NIT, they'll play the finals tonight, at Madison Square Garden. Two clubs from the Big East, locally St. John's, made the NIT finals, and they're going to take on Georgetown. It's not that long ago, that was a great matchup in the NCAA tournament, the days of Chris Mullen and Patrick Ewing, and now they're playing in the NITs, which for the most part is
it's the WNBA of college basketball.
Right, exactly right.
Used to be the big tournament, though.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago.
That's when all the players were white.
Yeah. That's when you had Jewish players out there.
It was the 21st century.
Those days are over,
When do they play the Final Four game? Saturday?
Yes, and just so you know, Mike and Chris are on their way to New Orleans right now. They will have coverage here locally on WFAN in New York. They'll be live from there tomorrow. Game 1 on Saturday night is at 6:07 p.m. Eastern Time, That features Marquette taking on Kansas. The late game at 8:47 p.m. Eastern Time, Syracuse, Texas. And by the way, they do stuff like that, 8:07, 6:07, 8:47. And I have often watched the clock to see if they're right about that. They are never right about that.
Right.
Why don't they just say approximately 8:50? Or why do they have to go for the 8:47? It never happens.
Right.
Does that annoy you as much as it annoys me?
A little bit, frankly.
Yeah.
It doesn't annoy me, but I do always pay attention to that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure why they do that.
Anal about time anyway.
That's
so.
it. Yeah.
But I do check to see if they say the Super Bowl's going to start at 6:19.
Yeah.
Oh, he's checking. It's like 6:23.
And I get aggravated because those are 4 minutes right there that you could have been spending doing something else.
Like these past 4 minutes of your sportscast. People listening.
Imus in the morning.
There's a 45-minute wait at the Lincoln Tunnel. It's backed up. That you've gotten to the point where you allow somebody else to ridicule you in that manner by calling you Donnie.
How is that a ridiculing me?
It is a total lack of respect.
It's like you're Tony.
Term of endearment.
No, it's like you're Tony from sales, or Richie from promotions,
Excellent.
Donnie from the morning show.
Right.
Hey, Donnie. Hey. What are you doing? I'm busy. Get out
That's
of
the
here.
way you see this, Minko? Are you laughing at me when I walk out the newsroom and Francesca calls me Donnie?
Be honest, John.
I would never laugh.
Listen to his voice quivering and.
Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. But because considering how I've befriended you for 15 years,
That's absolutely right. I have all the utmost respect for you.
You're an ingrate.
Ask him if he thinks it's disrespectful the way Francesca talks to you.
Yeah, do you think it's disrespectful when Francesca calls me Donnie?
I would not do that.
There you go.
Well, there. That's
Who the hell does he think he is?
Yeah,
anyway?
but no. But we don't have the. I mean, I like you. You know I do.
It's
but
not
we
the
don't
same
have.
kind of.
We don't have the same kind of relationship that I have with Mike.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I cannot do that.
I'm convinced Frances has pictures of the I-Man with little boys somewhere. There's no doubt about it. You bend over backwards to cut him slack.
It's unbelievable.
Very little boys. Little girls. My wife. With her lunch pail. My wife used to skip to school in Connecticut with her Imus in the morning lunch pail.
No Hogan's Heroes.
Well, thanks, Mako.
Okay.
I hate you. Any bullshit I have in this thing, man. I think I have enough for the staff, I'm sure. 1, 2, 3. I got enough. I got a full clip.
Don't shoot me, Donnie. Please.
See, if you call him that, by the way, then you're in.
All right.
Find out.
What do we like in these games this weekend?
I like Marquette.
You do?
Yeah. I think Marquette's going to play Syracuse for the championship.
Texas will be the national champion.
Or that. Yeah, that could happen too, sure. I like that.
You heard it right here.
Yeah, you like Texas against Kansas, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I like the other way.
I could see Texas maybe playing Marquette.
Right,
that's possible.
Except Marquette, that's a pretty tough team.
That could happen.
But then Syracuse, who knows?
You never can tell. That's why they play the games.
I like Xavier. Or Memphis.
Yeah.
What else going on? Come on, quick.
Baseball yesterday, the Braves lost again to Montreal. The Mets won. The Yankees won. The Phillies won again. They're off to a good start. They're 2-0. And also, you want those game times for Saturday night for the Marquette game and the Syracuse game?
Anybody get arrested, for God's sakes?
No one's gotten arrested, unfortunately. Yeah, no one got arrested.
No, looking at paper. Game time.
I'm hoping somebody gets arrested, but nobody's gotten arrested as of late. I think that the athletes right now are so into the country and the whole war thing that the athletes are actually staying out of trouble. Do you buy that?
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, then I have no other. I have no one.
Just not the self-indulgence
doing your job.
in baseball, or
You just got lucky for a few days.
the only athlete who is intellectually inferior to a baseball player would, of course, be hockey players. But
hockey players are actually bright.
How their Rangers doing?
Yeah, that's funny you asked that. The Rangers are going to be out of the playoffs as of tonight.
How many years in a row is that?
That would be 6 consecutive years.
Jesus. Don't they have a huge payroll?
They have over a $90 million payroll, I man, the highest payroll in the National Hockey League.
For hockey players?
For hockey players, yes. And they're not going to the playoffs.
How are they allowed? How are the people who run that? Who's in charge of that outfit?
That would be the Dolan family, who's also in charge of the New York Knickerbockers. Both teams at Madison Square Garden. And by the way, both teams are not going to make it to the playoffs.
How many hockey teams make it to the playoffs?
Just about every one. 16.
Wow.
8 teams in each conference make the playoffs. I mean, you got to be.
How many teams are in each conference?
There's about 14. Close to 30 teams in the National Hockey League, and 16 of them go to the playoffs. And the Rangers have not gone now for 6 straight years.
I mean, I don't know anything about it, and I certainly don't care anything about it. But that's disgraceful.
Oh, it's humiliating. It's embarrassing, actually, at this point. It really is. And to make it worse...
Well, didn't the 2 fat schmucks who are running the thing, Scotty, or whatever his name is, or...
Glenn Sather and James Dolan.
Didn't those 2 clowns guarantee they were going to make the playoffs?
You read my mind. That's exactly what they did on Mike and Chris's show not that long ago. The end of January, they came on their show and said, we guarantee we're going to be in the playoffs.
Well, who'd they pick for the Final Four? Memphis?
Well, we've had guarantees in this town go awry before, though. Certainly Patrick Ewing guaranteed the Knicks will make the playoffs before.
Please.
Not everybody's, Namath or Mark Messier. Right? It's not the first time in this town that somebody's made a guarantee and it hasn't come to fruition.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, what exactly does
doesn't really mean anything. I have no idea. I'm just trying to get to 10 o'clock.
Together again. My tears have stopped falling. The long, lonely nights are now at an end. The key to my heart you hold in your hand, and nothing else matters. We're together again. Imus in the morning.
The JCPenney Anniversary Sale. It all starts this Saturday. Take advantage of the lowest prices of the season store-wide. Go in early for red-hot doorbuster deals from 8 a.m. until 1. Don't miss buy one, get one for $1 deals on special items all weekend long. It's all inside. Go to the JCPenney Anniversary Sale for the lowest prices of the season, starting this Saturday. Some exclusions apply to store for details. Buy one item at regular price, get the second of equal or lesser value for $1. Sale ends April 14th.
Copyright 2003, Infinity Broadcasting. All rights reserved. Imus in the Morning is a presentation of WFAN and Westwood One Entertainment. Imus in the morning, Mac and Sid in middays, Mike and the Mad Dog in the afternoon, Steve Summers at night, and Joe Beningo overnights. We're the only station that talks New York sports all day and all night. That's why we're your flagship station for New York sports. The Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN New York, an Infinity Broadcasting Station. WFAN 2020 Sports.
Good morning at 10 o'clock. This is John Minka. And weekdays 1 until 6:30.
You can't miss CBS Tonight.
Mac and Sid in for Mike and the Dog. We'll hang around till 8 o'clock tonight. Coach of the Islanders joins us next. Pete from Uniondale. Ack will be in with a flash. Right now, this is WFAN New York, an Infinity Broadcasting Station. Here's NBC News.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Williams in Kuwait City. Military officials say Baghdad's international airport is now close to coalition control.
With a Yankee report in about 20 minutes from now. We'll get phone calls in next. This is WFAN New York, an Infinity Broadcasting Station. Ack will have a flash for us in a couple of minutes. Right now, we check what's going on with the world. Here's NBC News.
NBC News Radio. I'm Sam Litzinger. The news tightens.
Good morning. Natalie Maines of the Dixie Chicks was at a concert in London, Fred, and she said she just wanted people to know that they were ashamed that the president was from Texas.
That's beyond stupid. And then the other Dixie chick, Emily Robinson, came out and said she was ashamed that Fred Imus lives in Texas.
In the morning on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
You're headed out of town.
New York Times. Who cares? And who cares?
Everybody has a watch
in
by now.
Nevada, Arizona, and all those other places that it's 7:49 in New York. What am I losing my mind? It's 10 minutes till the top of the hour, everywhere. And here's the latest on America at war. U.S. forces have battled their way into Baghdad's international airport. A top official says it is now under coalition control. Civilians have been fleeing Baghdad, which remained under heavy bombing overnight. A vehicle has exploded at a U.S. checkpoint northwest of Baghdad. They're calling it a suicide bombing, and 3 coalition soldiers have died, as well as a pregnant woman who stepped out of this car screaming, which apparently caused the 3 coalition soldiers to approach the car, and it blew up, killed the woman, the 3 soldiers, and the driver. Britain's defense minister says the taking of Baghdad's airport represents a huge psychological blow to Saddam Hussein. And General Brooks, at this morning's briefing, which is still underway, by the way, out of Doha Qatar, says that the airport has a new name. General Brooks tells reporters at today's briefing it is no longer Saddam Hussein International Airport. It is simply being called Baghdad International, with U.S. forces reportedly still facing some resistance at the site. But General Brooks indicates the airport is under U.S. control. And American soldiers have found thousands of boxes of these little vials containing liquid and powder, as well as chemical warfare manuals written in Arabic, at a plant near Baghdad. The U.S. military official said it is not known what the vials contain, and a team of experts is being sent in now to examine them and see exactly what they have there. General Brooks also said today that special forces out in the western desert, in Iraq's western desert, have found what is thought to be a training school for those handling nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. So those are among the latest developments now at 8 minutes till the top of the hour. And Sydney's in with us sports, and here he is, Sidney Rosenberg.
All right, Charles, let's talk about the NCAA tournament. Action resumes tomorrow night. It's in New Orleans. They're about to play the Final Four. Marquette and Kansas will tip it off just after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Syracuse and Texas will tip it off just before 9 o'clock in the nightcap. And, of course, Monday night will be the championship game. In the NIT Finals last night at Madison Square Garden, St. John's. Big night for Marcus Hatton. He had 22 points, Charles. He was the tournament MVP. St. John's got by Georgetown 70-67 for the Red Storm. It is their record 6th NIT title. Baseball yesterday, the Braves lost again. They started 1988 0-10. They're 0-3 this year, their worst start in 15 years. They lost 4-0 to Montreal. The rest of the National League, the Cubs beat the Mets 6-3, so the Cubs take 2 out of 3 here in New York. The Cardinals are 3-0. They beat the Brewers 6-4. The Pirates are 3-0. They beat Cincinnati 7-5. It was the Marlins over the Phillies 8-3. Colorado doubled up Houston 10-5, and the Padres beat the Dodgers 6-1. American League action last night, Charles. Minnesota, they stay unbeaten. They're 3-0. They beat Detroit 3-0. The Red Sox are now 3-1. They clubbed the Devil Rays 14-4.
Third baseman Todd Zeal says he understands why the game's being called.
I just really hope that the fans are able to adapt and still come out Tuesday. And nobody wants to sit out when it's snowing 4 to 6 inches and sit and try and watch or play a baseball game.
Yankees opener in '96 was played in the snow, though, but the opening game of April 6, 1982, also canceled. Spring storm left nearly 10 inches of snow on the ground back then. New Yorkers are being urged to take advantage of a new tax break that makes up to $3,000 of college tuition costs tax deductible this year. Senator Schumer says many New Yorkers are not aware of the new break, which he says could save the average New York family $450 this year and $600 next year.
We are here to tell people that for the first time, tuition is deductible for the vast majority of New Yorkers, income up to $160,000.
Yesterday, Schumer also released a new study of more than 55 metropolitan New York colleges and universities that he says shows that tuition costs on Long Island went up 300% over the past 20-year period, and he says tuition costs in the city went up 350% during that same period. Sports NCAA championship game tonight. 9:22 is the scheduled tip at New Orleans. Kansas versus Syracuse. Yankees were winners yesterday. They beat Tampa Bay. The Mets lost to Montreal. As mentioned, of course, the Yankees opener is postponed today because of the storm. NASCAR result at Talladega, won by Dale Earnhardt Jr. We'll have all the details coming up once again in the hour ahead with Sydney. It is now 3 minutes after the hour.
Now during the Dodge National Caravan event, get the best values in America. Pick our best products like Dodge Caravan, the best-selling minivan ever. Now you can grab America's top minivan featuring industry firsts, like available power sliding doors and a power rear hatch. Plus, get our best protection. Dodge's fully transferable 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Then, add our best deals. Put up to $750 down, and we'll match it up to another $750. Plus, get a cash allowance of $500 to $3,500 for a total down payment of up to $5,000 towards your Caravan. The best products, the best protection, the best deals. Add it all up, it equals the best values in America. Only at the National Caravan event. See your Dodge dealer or visit Dodge.com. Sales claim based on U.S. sales 1983 to 2002. See dealer for a copy of this limited warranty. Deductible applies. Residency restrictions apply. Cash allowance cannot be used towards matching down payment.
Who can you trust for the rest of your life?
Brooks Northern Tire of New Jersey in Bergenfield.
Mike and the Mad Dog. Sports Radio 66 WFAN. They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can. It's Mike and the Mad Dog on the Fan. Nothing can get by 'em. Turn it on and try 'em. Mike and the Mad Dog, WFAN.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? The Mike and the Mad Dog radio program on a Monday here in New Orleans. Snowy New York, mind-boggling, a 12-inch snowstorm. I can't fathom it. But we're here in warm, sunny, humid New Orleans, getting ready for a championship game tonight with the Kansas Jayhawks and, of course, the Orangemen of Syracuse. Nice to have you with us. Mike and Chris will take you right up until 6:30 tonight, then the pregame on Westwood One, then the ball game later. No yes today. They thought they had the Yankee Day game, but a lot of snow at the stadium. Good afternoon there, Michael. How are you?
Now, one thing, I know you are totally fascinated. You have been for 2 days talking to me about this storm. Has one snowflake hit the metropolitan area yet?
Oh, it's snowing hard in
it
New
is
York
snowing
City.
already?
Yes, it has.
So it already snowed. They didn't cancel all these games and schools for no
it's
reason.
snowing
Now,
hard
let me
in
ask
New York.
something.
I'll give you another stat.
If it
You want
just
another
started snowing at 1 o'clock, why did they cancel school? It started at 8 o'clock this morning. Why didn't they just...
it started at 9:30 this morning.
I took the train off at 10. He told me it wasn't snowing yet.
Maybe it was a little later than that. Maybe it was 10:30. But it was snowing, Mike, at 10:30.
And I don't know about...
my buddy Steve Torrey. He gave me the weather forecast.
And this you're saying we're going to get a foot of snow?
I think 3 to 6 in New York, and I think 8 to 12 where I am.
Okay, so we might only get 3 inches in New York.
You might.
A little different than a foot.
You might. Well, I'll give you a stat.
Go ahead.
Mr. Weather Channel.
Go ahead.
I watched it today.
April 7th.
There have only been, in the last 100 years, there have only been...
How many?
Single digits. I think it's 8. Might be 7. Snowstorms in New York more than 4 inches in the last 100 years in the month of April. Now, it snowed in the month of April lots of times. But in the last 100 years, there's only been 8 storms where there was more than 4 inches of snow. We obviously might have one here today to make it number 9.
No, it's been some winter. I didn't think we'd see snow again.
I didn't think so either.
I mean, it's been a crazy winter. The Yankee opener is canceled. The 4 o'clock opener tomorrow, weather permitting. We will be back in the studio tomorrow after a interesting day here today. We have a lot to do, and obviously a whole bunch of different subjects. The national one, of course, starts with the dream matchup. And the dream matchup because one of them finally realizes a dream tonight. They've coached, zillions of games. They've won over 1,000 games. 39 of their 42 seasons, they've won 20 games between them. So they've been to the Final Fours. They've been to final games. They've done everything you can do except cut down the nets. And tonight, one of them, around 11:40 Eastern time, will have a
Sniper. World of Sports and the Syracuse Orangemen, their huge win from last night. And with all of that and other stuff, maybe, here's Sydney. Sid Rosenberg.
Hi, Charles. Nice to see you this morning.
Thank you. could be seen.
Yeah. I've got some audio from that college basketball game last night. Would you like to hear some? Sure. Great. Okay, why not? Let's play it, Louis. I've got it in here. This is a big part of the game last night. Carmelo Anthony, who scored 20 points for Syracuse last night and was a tournament MVP. He hits a big three to give Syracuse all the momentum, and here is the call from last night.
61-58, Syracuse on top by 3. They've led by 18. A lob inside. It's intercepted by Graves. Mid-court pass. Intercepted by Syracuse. Picked off by Pace. Left wing Anthony, a 3 in front of his own bench. Scored! Carmelo Anthony, the freshman from Baltimore, nails a 3.
Kevin Harlan on the call. That was 3 of Carmelo's 20 points. Huh?
Yeah. Unless you're in a pool or something, could you care any less about any stupid college basketball
Absolutely
game?
not. Well, by the way, mentioning the pool, I think we've got our pool winner here from the office. Who won? Well, why don't you throw a couple of guesses at me? Who do you think won the pool? Based upon their sports knowledge, who would you think won the pool?
Well, obviously one of the major figures here at the Fan.
Yeah, give me one.
Well, I don't know. Say Chris Mad Dog Russo, somebody like that.
No, that would be incorrect.
Jody McDonald, one of your co-hosts.
No.
Sid Rosenberg.
Or Sid Rosenberg.
No, not Sid. No.
Some on-air staff here.
Well, you would think so, right?
Some expert.
Well, certainly. Yeah. How about the receptionist upstairs that takes care of all the sales guys, Kim Schuler, who, by the way, is a lovely woman, I should say, a great girl, and she's going to win the pool this year.
You are kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. Right. And by the way, she got a lot of help from one John Minko.
No,
by her own admission, John Minko. Yeah, the coach actually helped her out. So, yes, I've heard that.
Well, how did he do in the pool?
He didn't do very well. She won.
How much help did he give her?
I don't know, but supposedly Mike has employed John Minko services for next year.
That's ugly, kid.
That's not pretty, is it?
No.
Now, Roy Williams did not win the NCAA championship last night, guys, but Jim Boeheim did, and Boeheim, very gracious in his victory, talked about the opposing coach right after his Syracuse Orangemen won the championship.
The only thing I said to him is that I said the same thing that Coach Knight told me in 1987. He said, I'll be back. He didn't tell me it'd be 16 years, so I guess he's smart, but he's not that smart. And I told Roy the same thing. He will be back in the Final Four, and I believe he will win a national championship before he's done coaching.
Right. So there is Jim Boeheim talking about Roy Williams, and speculation now is that Roy Williams may leave the University of Kansas and head to North Carolina. North Carolina fired their coach, or he resigned, whatever they want to say, Matt Doherty last week. So
you keep us posted.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted because I know.
Edge your seat time. You got it.
Baseball news. This is a story that Bernie's been waiting for 2 weeks. Darryl Strawberry is out of jail.
Speaking of the words, I'll be back. That's what he should have said to the inmates before he walked out.
Strawberry serving 11 months of an 18-month sentence for cocaine possession. And, yes, Darryl Strawberry has walked out of jail today. So Darryl is back. I don't imagine they'll be back with the Yankees, although they've given him a couple of shots.
AAA farm team?
Who knows? Anything's possible, right? I mean, how many times did Steve Howe get a chance to play?
Right.
But at this point, Darryl's getting a little old, isn't he? Strawberry right now is, I'm trying to find out, he's 41 years old.
Well, Ricky Henderson is 55,
sure.
right?
Can he still swing a bat?
That's a good point. I don't know if Henderson's 55. I think you're exaggerating a little bit there, Bernie. I think 51 is about right.
Yeah, something like
that. Other baseball from yesterday, the Giants are still unbeaten. They're now 7-0. They win yesterday, 7-4 over San Diego. Big home run for former Met Edgardo Alfonso in the 8th inning. Broke that one wide open. The Dodgers yesterday, they had a 3-0 lead late behind Kevin Brown, but they blew that one, lost 6-4 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Braves won yesterday. They beat the Montreal Expos by a final score of 3-0. NBA news, it is over for Jerry Krause in Chicago. That's right, the GM who was there for 18 years, replaced Rod Thorne all the way back in 1985. Of course, credited with bringing in Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman and others. They moved to the Bulls 6 championships, stepped down yesterday, citing medical reasons why he left. Supposedly he gained a lot of weight. He's been under a lot of stress, and he's gained a lot of weight. So he's going to walk away from the post.
He's fat.
Yeah.
He's fat and tired.
Sick, fat, and tired. Had it. I'm out of here.
That's pretty much it.
How many rings do you need?
You're right. I'm waddling away, damn it.
6 rings, sick, fat, and tired, and Jerry Krause has called it quits for the Chicago Bulls.
Sort of like Francis. Time to walk away.
That's not good.
By the way, Charles, I'm going to send this right back to you right now, but this was really, I want to thank you for inviting me in. And
been illuminating.
Yeah, and we'll talk again maybe tomorrow or something. Yeah.
Well, stop by,
yeah.
Call
me.
A few more minutes.
Okay, great.
Stay available. Stay in pocket.
Thanks. Bye.
25 minutes past the hour with Sidney Rosenberg. And right now we're going to go to NBC State Department correspondent Andrea Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell, are you there?
Hi there. How are you, Charles?
What are you reporting now?
Well, I've got a couple of updates for you. First of all, as you know, they are continuing to assess the damage through various satellite imagery and overhead flights of the attack on that civilian area where they think that Saddam Hussein and at least one of his sons, Quzai, may have been attending a meeting of as many as 30 senior Iraqi intelligence officials. This was an area in the Al-Mansur neighborhood, an upper-class neighborhood between central Baghdad and the airport, where, as I say, Saddam Hussein was spotted by a human intelligence asset, an Iraqi spy, maybe somebody even from within his inner circle. They don't know if he actually was still there when the bombs hit about 45 minutes after the first intel report came in, and they don't know even if he were in there, whether he escaped. But they are going to make available later this morning, an audio interview for Pentagon reporters with the flight crew of that B-1 that dropped those 4 bunker buster bombs. So that will be fairly interesting. Now, we do know a little bit more also about at least 5 camouflage uniforms were found with some blood on them, American uniforms found in the abandoned Rashid prison in Baghdad when Marines searched the Rashid military prison. That's obviously alarming, and one of the more alarming aspects of that is that the uniforms included some of the most modern chemical suits, new piece of gear worn by U.S. troops. This is reported by my colleague Jim Miklashevsky and Tammy Kupperman over at the Pentagon. So that would clearly be very worrisome. It's not probative of anything, but it obviously raises fears about our POWs there.
I also see some late information, Andrea, that a State Department spokesperson is characterizing as, and this is a quote, a grave mistake, the U.S. bombing the Baghdad office of Al Jazeera television. You know anything regarding that?
Well, certainly that was either a miss or some other kind of terrible accident. Now, as you know, there were reports all day that the Palestine Hotel was hit because of sniper fire from that hotel, and just moments ago, I think there's been a confirmation from Spain that a Spanish cameraman for Spanish television died along with the Reuters cameraman. The Reuters cameraman had died earlier, and the Spanish cameraman died of his injuries. As to the bombing of Al Jazeera, obviously this is a diplomatic disaster for the U.S. because they've been courting Al Jazeera as much as they initially criticized it. Colin Powell, and Donald Rumsfeld, Condoleezza Rice, others have all gone on Al Jazeera trying to get their message out. And clearly, if they have managed to decapitate the regime, we still don't know that, but if they've certainly managed to rattle the regime in Baghdad, given what's happening there, they want to get that message out. And the last thing they want to do is knock Al Jazeera off the air or let Al Jazeera and other Arab television networks indicate that they are targeted by American forces. So they're trying to counteract that.
And that was exactly, apparently, some of the network's employees' speculation that they were, in fact, targeted to retaliate for the Al Jazeera take on the war, their coverage.
Well, you can understand them being a little sensitive if they're being fired out and losing their correspondent. I mean, it was a terrible tragedy, and Al Jazeera has been, correctly criticized, I think, in many quarters for their spin. But at the same time, it is one of the few independent, non-government sources. We talk about Al Jazeera critically, but in Egypt, government television is so one-sided that the Egyptian state-run broadcasters wouldn't even let the American television or an American Radio Sawa in, which is the sort of voice of America. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's the propaganda voice of the State Department into the Arab world. The voice of America is far more independent. But it's similar to Radio Marti and some of the, more politically oriented broadcasts. And Egypt and Lebanon wouldn't even let them on the air in there. So Al Jazeera does have the virtue of being relatively independent. They've done some good reporting.
Which speaks to the kinds of problems that we face in that whole area of public relations and image. I mean, some of the headlines that you have seen recently in the Egyptian press.
A great first hour of a pretty good second hour.
Yep.
And here we are in the third hour now, and I'm just because I have pneumonia.
How are you even here? This is unbelievable.
And I noticed Chernow's going around all down in the mouth, suitably chagrined, and I just don't have the energy to fight with them today, except so I just may deal with them like Oh, like the Iraqis. Here's Chuck with the news. Some good stuff coming up, and I'll try to get it together here. But what's going on?
Saddam Hussein's government
dead?
No longer in control of Baghdad, according to a U.S. military spokesman, is the latest. About that, I-Man, there's a story that the CIA does not know whether Saddam Hussein and his sons were killed or whether they survived. CIA official reportedly telling reporters authorities don't know for certain that he and his sons were in that targeted building in the Al-Mansur district of Baghdad.
You know, I called in Monday, even though I was sick. That was no big deal. I'm not on the front lines in Iraq, and I don't have cancer. But I called him because of David Bloom.
Yes.
Because I didn't know him other than, I don't even know if I'd ever met him. But he had been on this program probably 100 times. Mm-hmm. And it was, and so I knew him like you knew him. Like, listen to the radio, because that's who I talked to him, on the radio. And he had what these other reporters who we like have, like Mick Leshevsky, like David Gregory, like Andrea Mitchell, like, I can't think of it. Well, Russ is not really a reporter. Well, he is, and Schieffer and some of those guys, but mostly Mick Leshevsky and David Gregory and Andrea Mitchell. And that is, they're great reporters. And they have a wonderful sense of humor. But in their appearances on this program, and this can be said of David Bloom, he never lost his dignity. Even though we made attempts, I'm sure, every time he was on, to try to drag him down to some level where he didn't want to be.
Right.
And he deflected it with grace and charm. And I was talking to my friend Dave Eason, who's a homicide detective in Connecticut, Westport. And he said, man, I just feel sick. So I thought maybe Dave knows everybody up there. I thought that maybe David Bloom and his family lived somewhere up in that area. I didn't know. And he said, no, I got to know him by watching him race across the desert on that Bradley fighting vehicle. I don't know whether he said the Bloomobile or not. He said a guy became, Dave Eason's a very tough guy. He said this guy became my hero. And Tom Brokaw summed it up best. He said he was happy. Tom went to Amman, and he said flying over, he had planned to give Dave a bad time about all the TV time he was getting. But Brokaw said he was happy that the people of this country had gotten to know David Bloom in the past couple of weeks, as we all did. And it was, I know I speak for you because you knew him as well as I knew him. Because we knew him through the same means. Sure. But that's a horrible, not to minimize the death of anybody over there. That's not the point. The point is, it's when you feel like you've lost a member of your family or somebody you know, and as Brooke also said, it sure brought it home to them, the people at NBC News actually worked with the guy and know him, that it gave them a better ability to understand what these families of servicemen are going through. So, anyway, speaking of all that, here's Jim Michalczewski, NBC News, the Pentagon. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Don.
So what's the latest from there?
Well, there's cautious optimism that we haven't heard before from the U.S. military, both in the field and here at the Pentagon, that there is no longer any effective government control over Baghdad, that there are signs, very serious signs, that the Saddam Hussein regime is collapsing, if in fact hasn't collapsed. There's no effective command and control over the Iraqi military anywhere in or around Baghdad. That's not to minimize the danger that still exists, because there are some serious pockets of resistance here and there. I guess some of those forces perhaps haven't gotten the word that today, for the first time, those Iraqi officials who accompany journalists everywhere they go just didn't show up for work. So the word has gone out somehow to those government officials who are nowhere to be seen today that the jig is up, apparently, and that the regime of Saddam Hussein may be very near its end.
Has anybody seen the information minister?
No, not at all. He didn't show up today, and somebody pointed out yesterday while he was standing there confidently in the streets of Baghdad in front of the Palestine hotel where journalists reside, and he was exhorting Iraqis to stand up against the invading American forces and that they would die in their tanks. That all the all the minders around the information minister were furtively looking up to the sky, wondering where the next bomb was going to come from.
Well, I wonder what this means then in terms of the POWs. Where are they and who's still holding them?
Well, that's a very serious concern, and the numbers are all over the place. U.S. Marines who moved into eastern Baghdad yesterday and took the Rashid Airport, airfield, and the military prison made a grim discovery. They discovered 5 discarded U.S. military uniforms, some of them bloodied slightly, some minor injuries, although apparently there was a bullet hole in the arm of one of the uniforms and some blood stains. But the POWs themselves were nowhere to be found. Actually, U.S. military officials take some encouragement in that because it provides some hope that they've been carted off somewhere else and will eventually be found.
If looks like you're going to have to, well, maybe not eat a little crow, but it was Rumsfeld. But
pardon me?
Is Rumsfeld going to be just completely out of control now?
Oh, not at all.
Because it turns out it looks like this war plan of his worked. It looks like that.
Wait a minute. Rumsfeld insists it's not his war.
I wonder. Will you wait till today's briefing?
Oh, that's There are still some questions, though, about Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, where is he?
Well, nobody really knows. There's wild speculation all over the place, reporting mostly from dissident groups who would like to plant seeds of doubt in the minds of the rest of the Iraqis that he's even still alive. But U.S. officials this morning, both military and in other parts of the government, insist they don't know. What we do know is that there was a U.S. element of some kind, perhaps a special forces troop or some kind of Iraqi spy that was in the employ of the United States, had that restaurant area there under surveillance because it was a known haunt of some of the Iraqi leadership. So that who appeared to be Saddam Hussein and at least one, if not both his sons, at least Qusay, perhaps Uday, although there's some speculation he was killed in the first bombing attack on March 19th. So it was a very short period of time after these people were spotted going into this restaurant and apparently a bunker located in the restaurant that a B-1 dropped 4 2,000-pound bombs right square on the target. And you've seen the pictures of this gaping cavernous crater that was left.
Yeah.
And if anybody is still underneath there, they're obviously dead. But there's also some speculation that the bunker complex that may have been located there would also have escape tunnels. Reports this morning, as I said, all over the lot. Some say he's injured and up in the north. Others say that he's alive and has somehow managed to escape, but one of his sons is dead. The bottom line is nobody really knows for sure. But a very strong indication that if Saddam Hussein is not alive, he's at least in very serious trouble and obviously losing reins of power, are the street scenes in Baghdad today. People shouting, "Down with Saddam, thank you, George Bush." Statements like that just 2 weeks ago would have ended in summary execution from the Iraqi forces. So it appears the end is near for the Iraqi regime, but some of the bigger headaches may arise in terms of what next, in terms of how you manage to insert an interim government and retain control over the people there.
I came in this morning at 6 Eastern Time saying, "Well, I have great news. Saddam Hussein is dead and I'm still alive," and expecting to be met with great cheering, and there was just dead silence in the studios.
They just, they don't know if Saddam is dead, and many people probably unsure you're alive.
That'll be fine, Jim.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News, Pentagon, quarter after the hour.
Coalition forces are advancing day by day in steady progress against the enemy. Slowly but surely, the grip of terror around the throats of the Iraqi people is being loosened.
Imus in the morning.
Hi,
It's the Ovaltine man. Kids all across America drink Ovaltine with milk because...
We love its rich chocolate taste.
But why do so many adults drink it?
Rich chocolate Ovaltine is high in calcium and antioxidants, like vitamins A, C, and E. Plus, it has iron I need, which I can't get from Nesquik powder or milk alone.
I drink Ovaltine every day. It's chock-filled with 17 vitamins and minerals. Nesquik powder doesn't come close. So no matter how old you are, there are great nutritional reasons to drink rich chocolate Ovaltine.
More Ovaltine, please.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
I'm way too busy to get a line of credit right now, so I'm letting LendingTree.com get one for me. Well, actually, they're getting me 4. I fill out one simple form and get 4 offers back within hours. I will eventually have to take a minute to choose one, but that's the fun part anyway.
Visit LendingTree.com or call 1-800-555-TREE. That's 1-800-555-TREE. When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com. Equal housing opportunity. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Imus!
Smoke-free events were held in New York City in the past few months. Here's how people responded.
I like working in a smoke-free environment because most clubs are smoking environments, and it really is hard on a working musician. We need to breathe, too.
Well, the air is much cleaner, and I'm a person that has asthma, so, I can't be around smoke-filled areas. So with it being smoke-free, it's better for me.
Actually, I am a smoker, and this is the first time I've been in a bar without smoke. And I gotta tell you, I don't miss smoking. It's actually a nice, comforting environment.
After March 30th, smoking will no longer be allowed in restaurants, bars, or any workplace. Going smoke-free will protect lungs and lives. If you're interested in quitting, we can help. Call the New York Smokers Quit line at 1-866-NY-QUITS. That's 1-866-697-8487. A message from the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, funded by American Legacy Foundation.
If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with lung cancer, you should know about the newest clinical trial for recurring lung cancer now available at St. Vincent's Comprehensive Cancer Center. There are not many treatment options for lung cancer, so this latest clinical trial may be the best option for men and women suffering from this frightening disease. St. Vincent's was chosen as one of the first cancer centers in the country to offer this new type of therapy. At St. Vincent's, you'll not only get the latest treatment options, but the personal and compassionate caring from their lung cancer specialists. For information on this clinical trial or St. Vincent's nationally recognized respiratory gating radiotherapy treatment for lung cancer, call 1-888-44-CANCER. New therapies offer new hope, so call 1-888-44-CANCER. That's 1-888-44-CANCER.
Are you cranky or in pain because of your old mattress? Well, now you have 11 hours to do something about it. Today only from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., shop Sleepy's 11-hour mattress sale. You want to sleep a whole lot better, you have to go to Sleepy's today. First, you'll save a ton of money because Sleepy's will beat any other store's advertised price by 20%, or you get the mattress free. Plus, you can finance your purchase and pay no interest for 12 months. You get the best selection of mattresses in America, including Sealy, Serta, Simmons, and Stearns & Foster. 12 famous brands to choose from, and Sleepy's mattress professionals to guide you to the perfect one. Sleepy's 60-day comfort guarantee assures your satisfaction. Plain and simple, you're getting Sleepy's mattress buy of a lifetime. Today only 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Shop Sleepy's 11-hour mattress sale or call 1-800-SLEEPYS to shop by phone. Online at www.sleepys.com.
Just Sleepy's for the rest of your
Good morning, I'm Lori McNichol for the Toyota Fan Highway Patrol. Heading into Manhattan, the George Washington Bridge is a 30-minute wait on the tolls and is heavy across both decks. Outbound, there's a collision in the right lane, slowing things down on the lower level. 50 minutes inbound at the Lincoln Tunnel. Outbound, it's slow on the Helix going into westbound 495. 10 minutes inbound at the Holland. The inbound Gowanus northbound BQE stop and go approaching the Prospect Expressway due to an accident, and the southbound BQE is crawling into Roosevelt Avenue due to a stall. Westbound LIE is barely moving, approaching the Sagda Coast. That's due to a collision in the left lane. Traffic's backed up to Comac Road. Southbound Hutchinson River Parkway slow through Mamaroneck Avenue where an accident's being cleared, and the Westchester-bound Tappan Zee Bridge has a 10-minute wait at the tolls. This report's brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Organ and tissue transplants save lives. Help now during a National Donate Life Month by signing a donor card. Call the New York Organ Donor Network at 888-ASK-HRSA or visit organdonor.gov. I'm Lori McNichol for the Toyota Fan Highway Patrol.
It is 20 minutes after the hour here in the Imus Morning program. We have America Online as the message, and here's some. You have to kind of be a regular listener of the program to perhaps appreciate this. Hey, Imus, the reason they're cheering in Baghdad is not because of the NCAA win of the Connecticut Huskies. It's because one of their fathers fell out of a guard tower and got straight. Yeah. I'm sorry you're feeling better.
Feed me, you bastard.
Tell that moron Sid that the Yukon coach leads a women's team, not a girls' team. I'll be sure and tell Sid that. I'm sure he'll appreciate the distinction there.
Hi, Patrick.
Here's Chuck with the news on the war. Good morning, Charles.
Morning, I-Man. Saddam Hussein's government no longer is in control of Baghdad, period. That according to the CENTCOM briefing this morning, U.S. military command. Also at that, Army Brigadier General Vincent Brick said there are signs across the country, in fact, of a dying regime.
Today, the regime is in disarray, and much of Iraq is free from years of oppression. Televisions across the world today are filled with images of jubilant Iraqis who know the regime is coming to an end.
Brooks noted that with every day, coalition forces break more of the regime's grip. Said information is being provided more and more now to them by liberated Iraqis. An example, he says, they provided information about a truckload of missiles southeast of Baghdad. Said U.S.-led forces are still meeting with some sporadic resistance in the Iraqi capital. Said medical aid is also being provided to Iraqi citizens by coalition medical teams. In fact, the Pentagon released this videotape of U.S. military medical personnel aiding Iraqi civilians. The Pentagon spokesperson said 300 wounded Iraqi soldiers and civilians are being treated in hospitals run by U.S.-led forces. Battlefield medics treat those with less serious injuries. A huge street party has broken out in the northern Iraqi city of Erbil as word filters up there that Saddam's regime apparently has lost its grip on Baghdad. It's a Kurdish city. People are dancing in the streets, kissing one another, waving Kurdish and American flags, motors honking horns, local shops blaring music. A reporter at the scene says he's seen some U.S. allied Kurdish fighters join the celebration as they drive by in armored troop carriers and pickups. Unlike in Baghdad, no sign of mass looting, though, in Erbil. The Kurdish city has a relatively strong economy and also a strong civil administration. Cheering Iraqis threw flowers in the path of U.S. Marines at Baghdad. Others, though, were looting these symbols of Saddam, spitting on them, tearing up posters and that sort of thing, kicking at them. Truckloads of government items, from refrigerators to flower pots and everything in between, are being carted away or wheelbarrowed away or trucked away and stolen. Squads of U.S. soldiers and Marines are hoping to link up today in the center of Baghdad, with the Army pushing in from the west, the Marines coming in from the east.
23 after the hour. I did see a guy running out of they look like either one of the presidential palaces or a government building or something, clutching a bouquet of flowers in a vase, and I just... To put where?
Well, got a date.
Well, I mean...
Yes, I'm coming home.
If you're going to steal something, you know. Maybe everybody else got everything else. Of course, electricity is off, but then obviously people are optimistic because they're stealing televisions and air conditioners. And...
Yeah. So they're looking to the future.
Well, we said we'd democratize Iraq, and we have. We've turned it into Detroit. Well, that's like, it's good. It's 24 after the hour.
I got up early this morning so I could walk the floor. I got to hit the street 'cause there's a whoop outside my door. The bill collector's calling and my kids need better shoes. Gonna go to church on Sunday 'cause I got nothing left to lose. And it's a good day. It's a real good day for the blues. Imus in the morning.
Hi, I'm Larry Kenny from the Imus in the Morning program. Some of you might also know my voice from various commercials I've done. You may have grown up hearing me say, Yahoo! I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Pops! Or, Gauchoculus cereal, frightfully delicious. A few years ago, Dr. Joseph Della Russo performed laser surgery on my eyes. And what an incredible difference it made in my life. And now there's an exciting breakthrough in laser vision correction. The introduction of no-blade custom...
between Tennessee and Yukon, and I'm thinking, who's watching this other than me? And I have pneumonia. And I was too sick to read Wyatt's stories, so I told him one. Well, it's good. He likes those now. And it's sponsored by Odor Eaters and Harley Davidson motorcycles. Come on, who do they think is watching this? I mean, what's... Do you understand that?
Well, I do, actually. That's the problem, I do. I mean, those sponsors actually make sense. That's the scary part.
And if I didn't have so many listeners in Connecticut and live there part-time, I could do a few minutes on that. But the problem is, as I said at 6 o'clock this morning, I have a list of people who I'm going to kill. Starting with Cablevision. I mean, there's just a list of... Because as I go through my life, people continue to screw me. But now they know I can't get even with them because... Well, maybe they don't know that. Because of the war, and I'm not going to waste time when Charles could be reporting on kids dying in Iraq on screaming about Cablevision or some other people who I'm going to get. But I'm making a list, and I'm keeping the list.
But clearly they're exploiting the war by screwing the Iron Man. There's no question about it.
Oh, that is another way to look at it.
Sure, knowing you're incapacitated professionally.
It's a plot.
Sure.
Anyway, we said briefly about sports. What's going on?
Well, you know, I played for you earlier this morning the Jim Gray cuts because we've been asking all day long about whether or not Saddam Hussein is dead.
Jim Gray is, people should understand, Jim Gray is a sports announcer.
That's all he is.
Not even that. He's a sideline reporter.
Exactly. He's not even an announcer, right?
He interviews people on the sidelines,
correct,
as well as boxers after the fight,
right,
before the fight, and that kind of thing.
In fact, one of his most famous interviews I met was after the Mike Tyson fight, years and years ago, when Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear.
Right.
That was one of his shining moments.
Sure.
Then, of course, you had the Pete Rose situation. Well, this Monday night, I should say, NCAA men's basketball tournament. It's halftime. Kevin Harlan is doing the game for Westwood One Radio. Championship game. Syracuse taking on Kansas. And Jim Gray breaks in with news here. I've got the audio here. We're going to play it for you.
All right, Kevin, we have some important information to everyone here and everyone who is listening. NBC News and CNN, Cable News Network, are reporting on their air that Saddam Hussein and his two sons have been killed. They are dead in Baghdad. CBS News has yet to confirm that, but NBC News and CNN, again to say it, Saddam Hussein and his two sons have been killed by the American and British forces. Kevin Harlan.
The question is, why wouldn't he go back to somewhere, somebody in a studio? Why would you have the Syracuse fight zone going on in the background?
He had the scoop.
And then here he comes back moments later.
First of all, he just assumed that it was by, he's already bought the line, British and American and British coalition force. I mean, he said, well, Jesus. Well, I mean, you can't parse that enough to discuss what an idiot this guy is.
Well,
but then what happened about 5 minutes later?
Here it comes. Here's Jim as he amends what he said just moments before.
All right, Kevin, just in an attempt to make sure that we have this right. CBS News cannot confirm, but NBC News and CNN are saying maybe, possibly, according to American intelligence, that Saddam Hussein and his two sons may have been killed.
Right.
This is not confirmed yet by the U.S. State Department or by the White House.
Sure.
Kevin?
What did Kevin say, by the way?
Kevin had no idea what was going on.
Cool.
How about that Carmelo Anthony, huh?
Thank you. Back to the action.
There is undeniable conclusive evidence that Saddam may be dead.
All right, here from the White House, NBC, is David Gregory, is the White House correspondent.
Yes.
Good morning, David.
A dunk.
Not good.
Not what Hussein was looking for. Thank you, Jim. May be dead. Thanks a lot. That is an idiot.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
He may be dead.
Now, that is really an idiot.
That's confirmed. That he may be dead.
We beat all those other stations.
We have developed hard evidence that Saddam Hussein may be dead.
Let's go to Jim Gray. We got a developing story happening.
Jimmy, what can you tell us, man?
Over those horns, Jim. I know it's loud down there.
That's enough, you guys. Come on.
Go, Yukon!
That's enough. All right, here from the White House with David Gregory. Good morning, David.
God, you haven't had this much fun since I spoke French to the president.
Well, that's the truth.
Bonjour!
On a serious note, what do they think of the White House, I wonder?